Don't be ridiculous. This is unacceptable. You know what? I don't need you anymore. You mean nothing to me now. I'm not wasting my money on someone useless like you. I'm divorcing you. Take this and leave. I understand. I'm fine with leaving. There's no point in us talking like this anymore. Let's handle it through our lawyers later. And I'll start the divorce process right away. I picked up the bags I had already packed and left the house. My name is Bridget. I'm a mother of 2 grown children. My youngest just graduated from university and started working. Now, I'm ready to start a new chapter in my life. If Steven and I had a happy marriage, we might have planned to spend our later years together peacefully, but I have no intention of doing that. Our relationship has been cold for a long time. Still, it wasn't always like this. I used to love Steven and admired his intelligence. I dreamed of a happy life with him forever. But after 35 years of marriage, I discovered his true feelings. To him, I was just a tool to help grow his company. When we met, Steven's business was already doing well. From the outside, we looked like a perfect couple. 10 years into our marriage, our first son, Joshua, was born. 2 years later, our second son, Liam, came along. That's when Steven's real intentions became clear. 2 boys. Well done, Bridget. Now my company is safe. One of them will take over my business in the future. At first, I thought he was joking. But as our children grew, he started pressuring them to run the company. Steven, parents shouldn't control their kids' lives. It's their decision what path they want to take. You don't get it. It's normal for parents to pave the way for their kids. I don't disagree with helping them. But it's up to them to decide which path to follow. Steven just laughed and said something that shocked me. Do you know why I married you? What do you mean? Because you're the granddaughter of a major bank chairman. Financial connections are crucial for a business. I know that. We had an arranged marriage. I understood you saw some benefits in me. Not just that, you're the smartest woman I've ever met. I wanted good genes for my children. If both parents are intelligent, there's a better chance the kids will be smart too, and that's good for my business. Is that really why you married me? Of course, why else? When my youngest was 2, Steven's words crushed me. Yes, I admired his determination and hard work in building his company. But I never thought he saw me as nothing more than a way to create smart children for his business. My mind went blank for a moment, but I couldn't stay that way. I had 2 children to raise, and I needed to make sure they grew into capable adults. From that day on, I worked hard for my kids. It wasn't easy, but my husband was right about one thing. Both of them were incredibly smart from a young age. Luckily, my husband and I had overlapping goals. He wanted to raise a brilliant successor for his company, and I wanted to focus on giving my children the best education possible. We had different reasons, but the same solution: spend money on education. To my husband, paying for their education was like making an investment. And it paid off. They became outstanding university students, just as he had hoped. One day, when Joshua, my eldest son, was in elementary school, he asked me, "Mom, do I have to work for Dad's company when I grow up?" "Joshua," I said, "it's your life. You should do what you want to do. As long as you live responsibly and don't harm others, Mommy will be happy with whatever career you choose. Remember, your life is yours, okay?" "Okay, then, Mommy, I'll tell you my secret. I want to be." Joshua had a dream even as a young boy, but he never shared it with his father. He was smart enough to know his dad wouldn't approve. In the end, Joshua followed his dream. He passed the bar exam after university and became a lawyer. Ironically, I was a lawyer too before I got married. And Joshua had always been curious about my work. Now, he runs his own law firm with a former classmate and stays very busy. When my husband found out, he was furious. "You never told me you were going to be a lawyer. Why didn't you join my company? Do you know how much money I've spent on you? Quit that law firm and come work for me." My husband couldn't understand our children's choices, because he never truly spent time with them. He only saw them as heirs to his business. But Joshua stood his ground. "Father, do you really want me to stop being a lawyer? If I do well as a lawyer, I might be able to help your company in the future. Right now, you spend a lot of money on legal counsel. If I become a better lawyer, I could support your company someday. Wouldn't that be better?" That response caught my husband off guard. His frustration faded, and he seemed to accept it for the moment. However, I know Joshua has no intention of joining his father's company. For now, though, my husband chose to believe that he might someday. I knew my husband was thinking about how my eldest son, Joshua, might help his company in the future. But there was another, more important reason for his confidence: our second son, Liam. Liam was different from Joshua, but just as talented in his own way. My husband believed Liam, who would graduate from university in 2 years, would be a perfect fit to join the company. Because of what happened with Joshua, my husband made sure to remind Liam that it was his duty to join the business. Liam said he understood, which seemed to put my husband at ease. Liam, however, has always been his own person. Even as a child, he had a strong and independent personality. In kindergarten, he didn't always join the other kids in their activities, he did what he liked. But that didn't mean he was difficult. He played alone during recess, but in class, he worked well with others. One day, I found him standing by a tree after school. "Liam, honey, what are you doing?" "Mom, I'm a tree right now. I don't understand human language." "Oh, I see, but Mr. Tree, it's time to go home now, can you get ready for that?" "Okay." Liam was certainly unique, and he followed his own interests. He loved plants and nature from a young age. He even studied Chinese and Spanish so he could read research reports from other countries. After high school, Liam went abroad to study at a university. My husband was thrilled and said, "A multilingual business owner will take my company to the next level." But after graduating, Liam didn't come back to join the company. Instead, he started working at a research institute overseas. Of course, my husband was furious. "You promised me you'd join the company, come back right now." He kept calling Liam, demanding an answer. "Liam, when are you coming back?" Soon, I guess." "Enough, stop joking around and come home." "I'll come home when I'm done studying." "Liam, knock it off." My husband's frustration was partly because of the company's worsening financial situation. He didn't talk to me about it, but Joshua told me the truth. I think that's why he couldn't handle what he saw as Liam betraying him. Honestly, I don't care about my husband's company. I've raised my children, and since Liam was born, my husband and I have barely spoken. I'm grateful to him for supporting our children's education. But now that they're grown, there's no reason for me to stay. I've been waiting for the right moment to divorce him. I told both of my children how I felt, and they supported my decision. With nothing holding me back, I was ready to move forward. And the opportunity came sooner than I expected. "Bridget, I need to talk to you. Take a seat," my husband said one day. "All right," I replied. He placed a file on the table and continued. "It's unfortunate how things turned out with our children. But thank you for your 35 years of hard work. Thank you as well for funding their education," I said. "So, let's think about the rest of our lives, shall we?" "Yes, let's." Without hesitation, he handed me the divorce papers. "Don't worry, I'm not leaving you with nothing," my husband said. "I'll give you $30,000 to cover your immediate expenses." "What?" I snapped. "You think you can make up for 35 years of my life with just $30,000? Why not? You've had a good life so far." "A good life? Are you serious? All you've ever done is push our children to take over your company. They have their own dreams." "Enough, I've paid for everything, so it's only fair." "No, it's not. Parents should invest in their children's futures. But not to force them into a life they didn't choose. You and I see the world so differently, it's been unbearable living with you. Don't act high and mighty, you should be thankful for the money. I want proper compensation, not your handouts. You're a businessman, you know the rules. You're offering me $30,000 for my share of everything? That's ridiculous." "Yes, you spent money on our kids, but I handled everything else for them and for you. Who made it possible for you to focus on your work all these years without a single worry? When a marriage ends, property should be divided equally, that's the law. Stop spouting nonsense. I'm not giving you a cent more. Common property is split 50-50, that's how it works." "Fine, I'll agree to the divorce, but don't expect me to roll over. We'll have the property settled properly by law." At this point, his face turned bright red, and he started yelling. "You're ridiculous, this is unacceptable. You're worthless to me now, nothing but a burden. I'm not giving my money to someone as useless as you. Take this, sign the papers, and get out of my house." "I have no objection to leaving," I replied calmly. This conversation is pointless. We'll settle the details through lawyers. I'll take care of the paperwork right away. With that, I grabbed the luggage I had already packed and left. I went straight to my eldest son's house nearby. So, Dad asked for the divorce? Joshua asked when I arrived. Yeah, I nodded. It's happening for sure now. I picked up the divorce papers my husband had handed me. As I flipped them over, I noticed a sticky note stuck to the back. What's this? I mumbled, taking a closer look. Then it hit me. Oh, is this what I think it is? Without wasting a moment, I called Joshua and showed it to him. I knew it, he exclaimed. The rumors were true. Mom, you need to call the police. What? Why? I asked, confused. In this case, we'll actually need to involve the IRS and the prosecutor's office. Don't worry, I'll handle it, Joshua assured me. But, should I still call the police? Yes, Mom, he said firmly. It's important to have a record that you reported this. Oh, okay, you're right. 2 weeks later, my husband was arrested for fraud. He had set up a fake business venture and swindled hundreds of millions of dollars from a bank. When he realized the fraud might be exposed, he even ordered his staff to destroy key documents. That sticky note on the back of the divorce papers had exposed everything. To me, my husband wasn't just someone I had been married to for decades, he was a criminal. The divorce went through shortly after his arrest. His company went bankrupt, and he had to sell off all his assets to repay the stolen money. But even then, it wasn't enough to cover the full amount. I was worried about how my eldest son, Joshua, would be affected by his father's imprisonment. But ironically, it made him a hero in the public eye for standing up and helping to expose his father's crimes. As for me, I never received my share from my broke ex-husband. Honestly, it wasn't something I was concerned with. What mattered most was helping refund the victims of his fraud. I'm not practicing law anymore, but I'm advising at my eldest son's firm. And I'm really grateful to be back in the workforce. 3 years later, my ex-husband was released from prison. My children reached out to him right away. My second son even came back home. And they both went to pick their father up when he was released. They said their father thanked them. He surprisingly refused their help, though. I'm glad to hear that, in the end, he showed some fatherly care. I've heard he's working hard now to pay off his debts in his old age. My life and my ex-husband's will never cross paths again. I hope this whole experience helps him reflect on his life. Once, my ex-husband sent me a letter through my eldest son. But I chose not to read it. My eldest son insisted I should, as if he knew what it said. But I refused. I know he meant well, and I understand why he offered it. I'm sure the letter was an apology for our marriage. But I won't accept it. He'll feel better thinking he's apologized. But I'm not going to make it easy for him. This is my small act of revenge, a little price to pay for 35 years of my life. Now, I want to live the rest of my life peacefully and righteously. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.
The eviction notice felt like ice in my hands, its crisp edges cutting through the warmth of my birthday celebration. Just moments ago, I'd been smiling, surrounded by family, thinking this was going to be my best birthday yet. I'm Vivienne, and this is how my 30th birthday became the day my family betrayed me. Open it, dear. We're all so excited for you to see what's inside. My mother had urged, her eyes twinkling with what I now realize wasn't joy, but anxiety. The fancy envelope had seemed innocent enough, wrapped in silver paper with a delicate bow. The living room of my childhood home, the one I'd spent the last 5 years renovating, was filled with familiar faces. My cousin Salah sat perched on the armrest of the sofa, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. My brother Jace stood by the fireplace, hands shoved deep in his pockets, avoiding my gaze. "Come on, Viv, we haven't got all day," Selah had chirped, her voice honey-sweet. I remember thinking how odd it was that she'd dressed up so formally for a simple family gathering. As I tore open the envelope, birthday cake still sweet on my tongue, the legal document inside made my stomach drop. Notice of eviction, stared back at me in bold, unforgiving letters. What is this? My voice came out barely above a whisper. Mom? Dad? My mother's face crumpled. Sweetheart, we've been trying to find the right time to tell you. Tell me what? I stood up, the paper trembling in my hands. That you're kicking me out of my own home? The home I've poured my savings into? My heart into? Selah cleared her throat. Vivian, be reasonable. The house was never officially yours. The deed is still in your parents' names, and they've decided it's time for a change. A change? I spun to face her. What do you know about this? I'm just trying to help the family make the best financial decision, she said, smoothing her designer skirt. The market's hot right now, and... The market? I laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. This is my home, not some investment property. My brother finally spoke up. Viv, maybe we should discuss this privately. No. I slammed the paper down on the coffee table, making the cake plates rattle. I want answers now. Mom, Dad, why are you doing this? My father wouldn't meet my eyes. There have been concerns about your ability to maintain the property properly. Selah has shown us some concerning documentation. Documentation? I felt like I was drowning. What documentation? I've done nothing but improve this house. Look around you. New hardwood floors, updated kitchen, restored Victorian details. I did all of that. With questionable contractors. Selah interjected softly. And there are the noise complaints from neighbors, the unauthorized modifications. That's absolutely false. My voice cracked. I turned to my best friend Paisley, who stood frozen in the corner. Paise, tell them. You've been here through all the renovations. Paisley stepped forward, her face fierce. Everything Vivian's done has been by the book. I've seen all the permits myself, but my family's expressions remained unchanged. My mother reached for my hand. Sweetie, you have 30 days to... I jerked away from her touch. 30 days? To leave my home? On my birthday? The room started spinning. How long have you been planning this? Selah stood up, straightening her blazer. I think we should all calm down and discuss this rationally. The decision's been made, Vivian. Fighting it will only make things harder. Looking at her face, that perfectly composed mask of false concern, something clicked. This wasn't just about the house. This was calculated, planned. The formal outfit, the documentation she'd mentioned, the way she'd positioned herself as the voice of reason. Get out, I whispered, then louder. Everyone get out. Vivian, my mother started. Now, they filed out one by one, leaving only Paisley behind. As the door closed behind my family, I collapsed onto the couch, the eviction notice mocking me from the coffee table. Paisley sat beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. This isn't over, Viv. Something's not right here, and we're going to figure it out. I wiped my eyes, anger replacing shock. You're right. Selah's behind this somehow. She's always wanted this house, ever since we were kids. I straightened up, a new determination flooding through me. And I'm going to prove it. Looking around at my beloved home, at the walls I'd painted, the fixtures I'd restored, the memories I'd built, I made a promise to myself. This wouldn't be the last birthday I'd celebrate here. Not if I had anything to say about it. The morning after my disastrous birthday, I sat at my kitchen counter, staring at my phone. 17 missed calls from Mom. 5 from Jace. None from Selah, of course. You need to eat something, Paisley said, sliding a plate of toast in front of me. She'd stayed the night, sleeping on my couch like we used to do in college. You can't fight this on an empty stomach. I pushed the plate away. I can't eat. I need to figure out what Selah's been telling my parents. My hands shook as I pulled up my mother's contact information. I'm calling her. Put it on speaker, Paisley said, settling beside me. Mom answered on the first ring. Vivian, thank goodness, we've been so worried. Save it. I cut her off. I want to know exactly what Selah's been saying about me. A heavy sigh crackled through the speaker. Honey, it's not just what Selah said. She showed us documentation of unauthorized construction, complaints from the neighborhood association. That's impossible. I slammed my hand on the counter. I have every permit, every approval right here in my files. Who specifically complained? Well, I don't have the actual complaints in front of me. Sela handled all of that. Of course she did. I laughed bitterly. And did you bother to verify any of it? To ask me about it before ambushing me on my birthday? Silence stretched between us. Mom? Sela said you deny everything. She finally replied, her voice small. She said you've been struggling financially, that you've been cutting corners. I want copies of everything, I demanded. Every document, every complaint, everything Sela showed you. Today. Vivian, please understand. No, you understand. That house is my life. I've put every penny I have into it, and I'm not leaving without a fight. I hung up before she could respond. Paisley squeezed my shoulder. That's my girl. Now what? Now we gather evidence. I grabbed my laptop. I need proof that Sela's lying. My phone buzzed. A text from Jace. Meet me at Carlo's Coffee in 30. Need to talk. 20 minutes later, I walked into Carlo's, spotting my brother in our usual corner booth. His face was drawn. Guilty. You knew, I accused, sliding into the seat across from him. You knew what they were planning. Jace ran a hand through his hair. I found out yesterday morning. Mom and Dad swore me to secrecy. Said Sela had proof you were in trouble. And you believed her? Of course not. He leaned forward. Look, something weird is going on. Last week I overheard Sela on the phone talking about property values and development opportunities in the neighborhood. My heart stopped. Development opportunities? Yeah. And get this, her fiancé Valentin? His family owns that new luxury condo complex downtown. The pieces started falling into place. Our street was one of the last historic areas in town, prime for development. My house sat on the largest lot. She wants to sell it to developers, I whispered. That's why she's doing this. There's more, Jace said. I did some digging. Sela's been meeting with the City Planning Commission. And guess who else attended those meetings? Mom and Dad? He nodded. They think they're protecting you from financial ruin, but Sela's playing them. She's convinced them selling is the only way to save you from yourself. My phone buzzed again. An email from Mom with attachments. I opened them, scanning quickly. These documents. I showed them to Jace. The letterhead is wrong. The permit numbers don't match my records. She forged them. Keep your voice down, Jace warned, glancing around. Sela's got friends everywhere. I don't care. This is proof she's lying. I stood up, energized. I need to show Mom and Dad. Wait. Jace grabbed my wrist. Sela's wedding to Valentine is in 2 weeks. Everyone will be there. Family, friends, business associates. If you're going to expose her, that's your chance to do it properly. I sank back into my seat, mind racing. 2 weeks to gather evidence, to prove she's trying to steal my home for her fiancé's development company. I'll help, Jace said firmly. So will Paisley. But we have to be smart about this. I nodded, determination replacing despair. Sela thinks she's won, that I'll just roll over and accept this. But she has no idea what I'm capable of. Walking home, I called Paisley. Hey, remember that friend of yours who works at the city planning office? We need to talk to her. Now. The game was on, and this time I was playing to win. The planning office smelled like stale coffee and printer ink. Paisley's friend Amanda pulled another file from the cabinet, adding it to the growing stack on her desk. These are all the development proposals for your neighborhood from the past 6 months, she said, keeping her voice low despite the empty office. Including 3 from Valrum Development Group. Valentine's company. I muttered, flipping through the pages. My hands froze on a familiar sketch. This is my house. Paisley leaned over my shoulder. Look at the date. This was filed 2 months ago. Before the eviction notice, I said, anger building. Before any of this started. Amanda glanced nervously at the door. There's something else? These signatures here? She pointed to the bottom of the document. Your parents' names, authorizing the preliminary survey. My stomach lurched. They've been planning this for months. Viv. Paisley grabbed my arm, pointing to another name. Look who notarized it. The name jumped off the page. Marcus Quinn, Selah's father. That sneaky little... I stopped as footsteps echoed in the hallway. Amanda quickly gathered the files, shoving them back into the cabinet. I've got copies at my desk, she whispered. I'll email them to you tonight. We barely made it out before someone entered the office. In the parking lot, I leaned against my car, trying to steady my breathing. We need to talk to Valentin, Paisley said. Maybe he doesn't know what Selah's doing. He has to know. His company filed the proposals. My phone rang. Jace. Sis, you need to get to Mom and Dad's. Now. What's wrong? Selah's here with some contractor talking about renovation plans. They're acting like they already own the place. I was already in my car. I'm coming. 15 minutes later, I stormed through my parents' front door. Selah's voice drifted from the kitchen, smooth as honey. The whole street will benefit from the modernization. Property values will soar. Over my dead body, I announced, making them all jump. Selah recovered first, her smile never wavering. Vivian, we were just discussing the neighborhood's future. You mean your future? Your fiancé's future? I slapped the development proposals on the kitchen table. When were you going to tell everyone about Valram's plans? My mother's face paled. What is she talking about, Selah? Don't listen to her, Selah said quickly. She's just upset about the eviction. Show them, I demanded. Show them the real reason you want my house. The contractor cleared his throat awkwardly. I should go. Stay, Selah commanded. Vivian's just causing drama, as usual. Always so emotional about everything. Emotional? I laughed. You forged documents. You lied to my parents. You're trying to steal my home for your fiancé's development project. That's enough, my father shouted. Selah's been nothing but helpful. Helpful? I grabbed the proposals, throwing them in front of him. Look at the dates. Look at the signatures. She's been planning this for months. My mother picked up the papers with trembling hands. These aren't the documents you showed us, Selah. Because they're fake, Selah snapped. Vivian's desperate. She'll say anything. I have copies from the city planning office. I cut in. Official copies. Want to see them? For the first time, Selah's composure cracked. You went through official records? And I found everything. The fake complaints, the forged permits, the development plans. It's all there. The contractor stood up. Ms. Shelton, if there's some kind of legal issue... There's no issue, she said through gritted teeth. Everything's fine. My phone buzzed. An email from Amanda with the promised documents. I held up my phone triumphantly. Want to see the proof? It's right here. Selah's face hardened. You have no idea what you're doing, Vivian. No idea who you're dealing with. No, you have no idea who you're dealing with. I turned to my parents. Check your emails. I'm sending you everything. Every lie, every manipulation, every secret meeting with Valram Development. Selah? My mother's voice was small. Is this true? But Selah was already heading for the door, the contractor trailing behind her. At the threshold, she turned back. This isn't over, Vivian. Not by a long shot. After she left, silence filled the kitchen. My father stared at the documents, his face ashen. We should have asked you, he finally said. Should have verified. Yes, you should have. I gathered the papers. But now you know the truth. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I left them there, surrounded by evidence of their own misplaced trust. In my car, I called Paisley. Phase 1 complete, I said. Now we go after Valentin. Finding Valentin proved easier than I expected. He was at his usual lunch spot, a trendy cafe downtown with his sister Leah. I smoothed my blazer and approached their table, Paisley close behind me. Mind if we join you? I asked, not waiting for an answer before sliding into the empty chair. Valentine's fork clattered against his plate. Vivian, what are you doing here? Funny story. I was just at the city planning office looking at some very interesting documents about my house. Leah's eyes narrowed. Your house? The Victorian that Sela mentioned? The same one your brother's company plans to demolish, I said, watching Valentine's face carefully. Demolish? Leah turned to her brother. Val, what is she talking about? Valentine dabbed his mouth with a napkin. This isn't the place. It's exactly the place, I interrupted, pulling out the development proposals. Your company filed these 2 months ago. Before the eviction notice, before all of Sela's lies. Leah snatched the papers, her face darkening as she read. You're planning to tear down the entire street? Replace it with condos? It's a sound business decision, Valentine defended. The neighborhood's undervalued. It's my home, I cut in. And Sela's been manipulating my family to get it. She said your parents were willing sellers, Valentine said, but I caught the uncertainty in his voice. Paisley leaned forward. They were willing because Sela showed them forged documents claiming Vivian was mismanaging the property. She lied to everyone. Leah pushed her plate away, disgust evident. Is this why you're rushing the wedding? To close this deal? The timing is convenient, he admitted. Convenient? I laughed bitterly. You're destroying people's homes, their histories. Progress requires sacrifice. Valentine started, but Leah cut him off. No, this requires deception, and I won't be part of it. She stood up, gathering her things. Count me out of the wedding party. Leah, wait. Valentine called after his sister, but she was already storming out. I smiled sweetly. Trouble in paradise? You have no right to interfere in my business dealings, he hissed, and you have no right to my house. I stood up. By the way, I've sent copies of everything to the City Ethics Board. They're very interested in how Valram obtained those preliminary approvals. The color drained from his face. You're bluffing. Try me. I dropped a business card on the table. That's my lawyer's number. Use it. Outside, Leah was waiting by my car. I want to help. Why should I trust you? Because I've watched Sela manipulate my brother for months. Because I've seen the way she operates. Leah's eyes flashed. And because I have access to Valram's internal files. Paisley grabbed my arm. Viv, this could be huge. What's in it for you? I asked Leah. Justice, and the satisfaction of watching Sela's perfect plan implode. She pulled out her phone. Starting with these emails between her and my brother, dating back 6 months, I scanned the messages, my heart racing. There it was. Explicit discussion of their scheme to pressure my parents, to force the sale, to fast-track the development. This is exactly what we need, Paisley breathed. There's more, Leah said. Board meetings, private conversations, financial arrangements. I can get you everything. My phone buzzed, a text from Jace. Mom and Dad want to talk. They've seen the evidence. Looks like the tide is turning, I told Leah. But we need to move fast. The wedding's in 10 days. Perfect timing for everything to fall apart. She smiled grimly. I'll send you what I have tonight. As Leah walked away, Paisley turned to me. Are you sure about this? Using her? She's using us too, I pointed out. But right now we want the same thing. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. The message made my blood run cold. Back off now or you'll regret it. Some things are worth more than a house. S. Paisley read over my shoulder. She's threatening you. She's desperate, I corrected, saving the message as evidence. And desperate people make mistakes. I headed toward my car, determination fueling every step. Let's go see my parents. It's time to show them exactly who they've been protecting. The pieces were falling into place, faster than I'd hoped. But Sela's threat lingered in my mind, a warning that this fight was far from over. And something told me the worst was yet to come. I woke to the sound of breaking glass. Jumping out of bed, I rushed downstairs to find my front window shattered, a brick lying among the shards. A note was wrapped around it. Final warning. My hands shook as I called the police. While waiting, I texted Paisley and Jace. They arrived before the officers did. "This has gone too far," Jace said, examining the brick. "You need to be careful, Viv. I'm not backing down now." I handed the note to the police officer who was taking my statement. "This is connected to a larger situation. I have documentation." "Just file a restraining order," the officer suggested, looking bored. "Not much we can do without proof of who threw it." After they left, Paisley helped me board up the window. "At least we have Leah's evidence now. Those emails she sent last night are devastating." Speaking of which, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from my mother. I need to go see them. They've had time to process everything. "I'm coming with you," Jace insisted. 20 minutes later, we sat in our parents' living room. Mom's eyes were red from crying. "We've been such fools," she whispered. "All those documents Salah showed us, we wanted to believe she was helping." "The development plans," Dad added, his voice heavy. "We had no idea they planned to demolish the whole street. We thought they were just renovating." "Sela knew exactly what buttons to push," I said. "She played on your concerns about me, made you think I was in trouble. She's been manipulating this family for years," Jace added. "Remember when she convinced you to give her grandma's jewelry instead of Viv?" Mom's face crumpled. "She said you didn't want it, that you thought it was old-fashioned." "I never said that." I swallowed hard. Just like I never made unauthorized changes to the house. Never had complaints from neighbors. "We know that now," Dad said. "We've talked to everyone on the street. No one ever complained. In fact, they all love what you've done with the place." My phone buzzed. "Leah. Emergency. Meet me at Riverside Park. Now." "I have to go." I stood up. "But first, are you with me on this? Really with me?" Mom squared her shoulders. "We'll do whatever it takes to make this right." At the park, Leah paced near the fountain, her face pale. "Salah knows I helped you. She's threatening to reveal something about my past to the board of Valrum." "What something?" "A mistake I made years ago. It could ruin my career." She ran her hands through her hair. I can't risk it." "Hey," I grabbed her shoulders. "Whatever it is, it can't be worse than what she's doing now." "You don't understand. My whole life could fall apart." "Then let it." The words came out harder than I intended. "Sometimes you have to lose everything to do the right thing." Leah's eyes filled with tears. "Easy for you to say. You're just fighting for a house." "No, I'm fighting for justice, for truth. For every person Sela has ever manipulated or hurt." I softened my tone. "Including you." She wiped her eyes. "There's something else. I overheard Valentine on the phone. They're moving up the timeline. They want to close the deal right after the wedding. That's in a week. Less. The rehearsal dinner is in 3 days." Leah straightened up. "You're right. I can't let her win. Not again." My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Hope you enjoyed the brick. Next time it won't be your window. S." I showed Leah the message. Her face hardened. "She's really losing it." "Good," I said. "The more desperate she gets, the more mistakes she'll make." "The rehearsal dinner," Leah said suddenly. "All the investors will be there. The board members, the family. Perfect time to expose everything. But Sela will be expecting something. She'll be prepared." I smiled grimly. "Then we'll have to be better prepared. I need every document, every email, every piece of evidence you can get. And I need them tonight." Leah nodded. "I'll have them to you in 2 hours." As she walked away, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Paisley. "Your mom just called. Salah's at their house. She's crying, saying you're trying to ruin her life. Your parents aren't buying it, but she's putting on quite a show." I texted back. Let her perform. In 3 days, she'll have a real reason to cry. The stakes were higher now, the threats more serious. But with each desperate move Sela made, she only proved how close we were to bringing her down. The countdown to the rehearsal dinner had begun. The day before the rehearsal dinner, I sat in my lawyer's office, surrounded by stacks of evidence. Sarah, my attorney, flipped through the documents with growing interest. These emails between Sela and Valram are damning, she said. And the forged documents? That's criminal. But is it enough? I asked. To stop the development? Absolutely. To press charges? Probably. She leaned forward. But are you sure you want to do this at the rehearsal dinner? It's perfect timing. All the investors will be there, plus the entire family. My phone buzzed. Another threat from Sela. Last chance to back down. Remember, I know about Miami. Sarah caught my expression. What's wrong? She's trying to blackmail me now. I showed her the text. But the Miami thing, it's nothing. Just a spring break mistake from college that she thinks she can use against me. Document everything, Sarah advised, handing me a USB drive. I've organized all the evidence here, including the police report about the brick. Are you sure you don't want private security? I'll be fine. Jason Paisley will be with me tomorrow night. Outside the office, I found Leah waiting in her car. Get in. There's something you need to see. She drove us to Valram's office building, parking in the underground garage. Valentine and Sela are in a board meeting upstairs, but look at this. She pulled out her tablet, showing me security footage from earlier that day. Sela was arguing with someone in the garage. Her father. Turn up the volume, I said. I can't keep covering for you, her father was saying. The notary stamps, the forged documents, it's too much risk. Daddy, please, just one more day. After the rehearsal dinner, it won't matter anymore. What's happening after the rehearsal dinner? I asked Leah. I don't know, but they've booked a private room at the restaurant. Invitation only, after the main event. My phone rang. Paisley. Viv, you need to get home now. Someone's been in your house. I broke every speed limit getting back. Paisley and Jace were waiting outside. Inside, my breath caught. Every renovation I'd done, every wall I'd painted, every fixture I'd restored, had been photographed and marked with bright red X's. They're documenting everything they plan to destroy, Jace said quietly. Paisley picked up a business card left on the counter. Look who's handling the demolition. The company name made my blood boil. It belonged to Sela's uncle. They're keeping it all in the family, I said bitterly. How did they even get in? Your mom called, Jace said. Sela asked to borrow her spare key this morning. Said she needed to measure for wedding decorations. And Mom gave it to her? No. But when she refused, Sela broke down crying, saying you were trying to ruin her special day. Mom felt guilty and admitted where she keeps the spare. I sank onto the stairs, looking at the red X's everywhere. This was my grandmother's house. I learned to walk on these floors. Had my first kiss in that bay window. And you're not going to lose it, Paisley said firmly. Tomorrow night, we end this. My phone buzzed with a text from Leah. Emergency. Salah's changed the seating arrangements. You're not invited to the private meeting anymore. Doesn't matter, I texted back. We'll do it during the main dinner. More witnesses that way. I spent the rest of the day with Sarah, finalizing our strategy. By nightfall, everything was ready. Lying in bed that night, I heard footsteps on my porch. Grabbing my phone to call the police, I crept to the window. But it was just my mother, leaving something by the door. I opened it to find a small package with a note. Your grandmother wanted you to have this. I should have given it to you years ago. Love, Mom. Inside was my grandmother's antique locket, the one Sela had claimed I didn't want. Opening it, I found a tiny photograph of my grandmother standing proudly in front of the house, the day she bought it. My phone lit up with one final threat from Sela. Hope you're ready for tomorrow, because I am. I touched the locket, then looked at the red X's marking my walls. Bring it on, I whispered. Tomorrow, everything would change. Either I'd save my home and expose Salah's schemes, or I'd lose everything I'd fought for. But looking at my grandmother's proud smile in that old photograph, I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't going down without a fight. The rehearsal dinner couldn't come soon enough. The rehearsal dinner buzzed with nervous energy. Salah held court at the main table, resplendent in white, while Valentine worked the room, charming investors. I sat between Paisley and Jace, my grandmother's locket cool against my skin, waiting for the right moment. "Look who just arrived," Paisley whispered. Sarah, my lawyer, walked in with Leah, right on schedule. Selah's smile flickered for just a moment before she recovered, rising to greet them. "Leah, darling, I was worried you wouldn't make it after our disagreement." "Wouldn't miss it," Leah said coldly, then turned to the assembled guests. "Have you met Sarah? She's a fascinating person, specializes in real estate fraud." The room quieted slightly. Valentin appeared at Selah's side, his hand tight on her arm. "Perhaps we should start the toasts," he suggested. "Wonderful idea." I stood up, raising my glass. "I'd like to go first." Selah's face drained of color. "That's not on the program." "Oh, but I insist." I moved to the center of the room. "After all, what kind of cousin would I be if I didn't congratulate you on your achievements?" The room fell silent. All eyes on me. "Vivian," my mother warned softly. "It's okay, Mom. I'm just going to share some interesting documents with everyone." I nodded to Sarah, who began distributing folders to the investors. "Consider it my wedding gift." "Security," Selah called out, but Leah was already blocking the door. "Let's start with these emails," I continued, my voice carrying across the stunned room. "Detailed plans to forge documents, manipulate my family, and steal my home for Valrum's development project." Valentine stepped forward. "These are private business matters." "Fraud is never private," Sarah interjected. "Neither is forgery, which brings us to Exhibit B, the falsified complaints and permits, complete with unauthorized notary stamps from Selah's father." Selah's father stood up, face red. "Now wait just a minute. The ethics board is very interested in your involvement," Sarah added smoothly. "They'll be in touch." "You're ruining everything," Selah shrieked, lunging for the folders. But Jace was faster, already passing copies to the board members. "Like you tried to ruin my life?" I asked. "The threats? The brick through my window? The break-in?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. Valentine's sister stood up. "The police have been notified," she announced. "About everything." "Val, do something," Selah pleaded. But Valentine was busy reading the documents, his face growing darker with each page. "You told me her family agreed to sell, that everything was legal." "It was just business," Selah protested. "A simple property acquisition." "Simple?" I pulled out my phone, playing the security footage Leah had given me. Selah's voice filled the room. "After the rehearsal dinner, it won't matter anymore." "What were you planning?" Valentine demanded. "What happens after dinner?" Selah's silence was damning. Her father broke it. "The demolition crew is scheduled for midnight," he admitted. We thought if the house was already down, you were going to destroy my home? Tonight?" My voice cracked. "While everyone was celebrating your wedding?" The room erupted in chaos. Investors stormed out. Board members huddled in corners. Family members argued loudly. Through it all, Salah stood frozen, her perfect world crumbling. "The development deal is off," Valentin announced. "And so is the wedding." "But the deposits? The contracts?" Salah's voice was small. "Are void due to fraud," Sarah supplied helpfully, "as is the eviction notice." My mother approached Selah slowly. "How could you do this? To family?" "Because she never cared about family," I said quietly. "Only power, control, getting what she wants no matter who she hurts." Selah's composure finally broke. "You think you've won? You've ruined everything I worked for." "No." I touched my grandmother's locket. "You did that yourself. Every lie, every scheme, every betrayal. That was all you. The police arrived then, asking questions, taking statements. I watched as Selah's carefully constructed facade crumbled completely. The house is yours, my father said, hugging me tight. It always was. We forgot what family really means. Later, standing outside the restaurant, Paisley squeezed my hand. How does it feel? I looked at the night sky, thinking of my grandmother's photograph. Like justice, like home. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Leah. Board meeting tomorrow. Val Ram's pulling out of all neighborhood developments. You did it. Justice indeed. But watching Selah being escorted to a police car, mascara streaking her cheeks, I felt no joy in her destruction. Only relief that my home, my family's legacy, was safe at last. The morning sun streamed through my newly repaired window as I sipped coffee on my front porch. The newspaper headline caught my eye. Valram Development faces investigation, CEO steps down. Below it, a smaller headline. Local woman charged with fraud, criminal conspiracy. My phone rang. Leah. Have you seen the news? Just reading it now. How are you holding up? Better than expected. The board appointed me interim CEO. Turns out exposing corruption has its perks. A car pulled into my driveway. My parents. Mom carried a large box while Dad lugged what looked like photo albums. I'll call you back, I told Leah. Mom set the box down carefully. We've been going through the attic, found some things that belong here. Inside were pieces of my grandmother's life. Her journals, recipes, old letters. Dad opened one of the albums, pointing to a yellowed photograph. That's her. The day she bought this house. Said it was the proudest moment of her life. Until you were born, Mom added softly. She always wanted you to have it. The screen door creaked open as Paisley emerged with more coffee. Look who just pulled up. A police car parked across the street. Officer Martinez approached, holding a document. Ms. Harding, we've recovered some items from Selah's office, things she took from your house. He handed me a folder. Also thought you should know. She's agreed to a plea deal. Full confession. Thank you, I said, taking the folder. Inside were old photographs she'd stolen years ago, claiming they'd been lost. The DA wants to know if you'll testify about the harassment, Officer Martinez added. I looked at my repaired window, remembering the brick, the threats, the fear. Yes, I will. He nodded and left. Mom touched one of the recovered photographs. Your 5th birthday, she said. Selah was so jealous of your party, she threw cake at you. We should have seen the signs back then. We all missed the signs, I said. But we can't change the past. Jace's truck rumbled up the street, Valentine surprisingly in the passenger seat. They carried construction supplies. Before you say anything, Jace called out. He volunteered. Valentine set down a paint can. I owe you. We all do. Let me help restore what we almost destroyed. I studied him for a moment, then nodded. Start with the back porch. It needs new railings. The day unfolded like a healing breath. While Jace and Valentine worked on repairs, Mom and I sorted through grandmother's belongings. Paisley organized a neighborhood potluck on the lawn. Even Leah stopped by, bringing corporate documents showing Valram's new commitment to historic preservation. The board wants to establish a fund, she explained, to help homeowners restore historic properties instead of demolishing them. Karma works in mysterious ways, Paisley mused. As evening approached, neighbors gathered on my lawn, sharing food and stories. Mrs. Rodriguez from next door brought her famous empanadas. Your grandmother loved these, she told me. She hosted dinners like this all the time. The house was always full of people, full of life. I touched my locket, thinking of the photograph inside. Maybe it's time to restart that tradition. Dad raised his glass. To new beginnings. And old foundations, Mom added. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Plea deal finalized. Selah's serving time. The house is officially safe. Looking around at my gathered family, friends, and neighbors, I realized something. This house wasn't just walls and windows, not just a property to be saved. It was a home, alive with memories and possibilities. You know, Paisley said, your birthday's coming up again. No surprise parties this time. I laughed. No, she agreed. But maybe a housewarming to celebrate properly? I watched Jace and Valentine arguing good-naturedly about porch designs, Mom sharing grandmother's recipes with neighbors, Dad telling stories about the house's history to enthralled listeners. I'd like that, I said. A fresh start. The evening wind carried the scent of blooming jasmine, grandmother's favorite. She'd planted it along the fence years ago, and like the house itself, it had endured. To fresh starts, I raised my glass, and to coming home. The gathered crowd echoed the toast, their voices mixing with crickets and distant wind chimes. This was what Sela never understood, what no development plan could capture. The heart of a home, beating strong through generations. I sat on my porch steps, surrounded by love and laughter, knowing that while the battle for my house was over, the story of this home was just beginning. And this time, every page would be filled with joy, not fear. With welcome, not walls. With family, the kind you're born to and the kind you choose. This was my legacy, my victory, my peace. And it was beautiful.
The acceptance letter trembled in my hands as tears blurred the words full academic scholarship. I'd done it. 4 years of straight A's, countless all-nighters, and sacrificing my social life had finally paid off. Stanford University wanted me. Me, Willow from small-town Pennsylvania, the girl everyone said would never amount to anything special. Mom, Dad! I raced downstairs, nearly tripping over my own feet. I got in! I actually got in! The kitchen fell silent. Mom and Dad exchanged that look, the one that made my stomach drop. Travis, my older brother, sat at the table, head buried in his hands. Honey, sit down, Mom said, her voice unnaturally gentle. We need to talk. I clutched the letter tighter. What's wrong? Dad couldn't meet my eyes. Your college fund, it's gone. The words hit me like a physical blow. What do you mean, gone? Travis needed help, Mom explained, placing her hand on my brother's shoulder. He got into some trouble with some dangerous people. We had to use the money to pay off his gambling debts, I finished, my voice hollow. Again. Travis finally looked up, his eyes red. I'm sorry, Will. I'll pay you back, I swear. You said that last time, I whispered. And the time before that. This is different, Mom insisted. Your brother could have been seriously hurt. We had no choice. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. No choice? What about my choices, my future? Don't be dramatic, Dad said, finding his voice. Community college is still an option. Or you could work for a few years, save up. Save up? I threw the acceptance letter onto the table. Do you have any idea how much Stanford costs? The scholarship only covers part of it. That fund was everything I had. Willow. Mom's tone turned stern. Family comes first. Travis needed us. And I don't, my voice cracked. I've never asked for anything. I worked my arse off while you threw money at Travis's mistakes over and over. Watch your tone, young lady, Dad warned. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A welcome interruption. Unknown number. Hello, I answered, turning away from my family. Is this Willow Norton? This is Margaret from Mills & Associates law firm. We received your application for the receptionist position. I'd applied weeks ago, desperate for summer work. Now it felt like a lifeline. Yes, this is she. Could you come in for an interview tomorrow at 9 a.m? Absolutely, I said, my mind racing. I'll be there. I hung up and faced my family again. Travis had disappeared, probably to hide in his room like he always did when things got tough. Mum was already making excuses for him, Dad nodding along. I have a job interview tomorrow, I announced. That's nice, dear, Mom said dismissively. Now about Travis. No, I cut her off. I'm done talking about Travis. I'm done with all of this. I stormed upstairs to my room, pulling out my suitcase. Through my tears, I began packing, my movements mechanical. A soft knock at my door made me freeze. Go away! The door opened anyway. Sylvia, my best friend from next door, stood there. She must have heard everything through her bedroom window again. I brought ice cream, she said, holding up a pint and 2 spoons. Want to talk about it? I sank onto my bed. They took everything, Syl. Everything I worked for. She sat beside me, handed me a spoon. So, what are you going to do about it? I got a job interview at Mills & Associates. The law firm? Sylvia's eyes widened. That's huge. It's just a receptionist position. It's a foot in the door, she corrected. And you're the smartest person I know. You'll work your way up. I stabbed my spoon into the ice cream. They don't think I can do anything. Did you hear them? Community college is still an option. I mimicked Dad's condescending tone. Then prove them wrong, Sylvia said simply. Show them exactly what you can do. I looked at her, really looked at her, and something shifted inside me. The tears dried up. The helplessness transformed into determination. You're right, I said slowly. I'm done being the good daughter they can ignore. Done watching Travis destroy everything while they clean up his messes. What are you going to do? I smiled, and it wasn't entirely nice. I'm going to become someone they can't ignore. Someone with real power. I glanced at my Stanford letter, now crumpled on the floor. They think law school is out of reach? Fine. I'll learn law from the ground up instead. Sylvia grinned. Now that sounds like a plan. I took another bite of ice cream, my mind already racing ahead. Tomorrow I'd walk into that law firm and start my new life. And someday, when my family needed help again, because they always did, they'd find out exactly who I'd become. Reception. This is Willow speaking. How may I direct your call? I balanced the phone between my ear and shoulder while sorting through a stack of documents. 3 months into my job at Mills & Associates, and I'd already memorized every partner's schedule, client preference, and filing system. Hey, new girl, a friendly voice called out. I looked up to see Tobias, Mr. Mills's son, leaning against my desk. He pointed at my coffee cup. That's stone cold. Want a fresh one? Thanks, but I can't leave the desk right now. Mr. Mills needs these briefs sorted before the Thompson meeting, I know. He grinned. I'll watch the phones for 5 minutes. Go get yourself some caffeine. I hesitated, then grabbed my cup. The break room was mercifully empty, but as I reached for the coffee pot, I heard voices from the partners' lounge next door. That new receptionist, Mr. Mills was saying. She's something else. The young one? Willow? Another voice. Mr. Parker, I thought. What about her? She reorganized our entire filing system last week, found 3 missing depositions that could have cost us the Riverside case, and she's been studying the briefs in her spare time. A receptionist who actually reads the briefs? Mr. Parker chuckled. That's a first. She's wasted at that desk, Jacob. I'm thinking of moving her to paralegal. My hand froze on the coffee pot. Paralegal? After just 3 months? Eavesdropping? A woman's voice made me jump. I spun around to face a tall, elegant black woman in a crisp suit. I'm Sylvia, new associate attorney, and you're Willow, right? The super receptionist everyone's talking about? I stammered. She laughed. Relax. I do my best intel gathering by the coffee machine too. She filled her own cup. Word is, you're gunning for more than just answering phones. I want to learn everything I can, I admitted. Law school isn't an option right now, but there's more than one way to climb a mountain, she nodded approvingly. Smart girl. Want some free advice? Always. Take a paralegal certification course. Online, nights. When they offer you the position, and they will, you'll be ready. I smiled. I started the course 2 weeks ago. Even smarter than I thought. She handed me a business card. I like you, Willow. Let's do lunch sometime. Back at my desk, Tobias was struggling with the phones. 3 lines at once, he complained. How do you do this? Practice, I said, smoothly taking over. And a really good memory. Speaking of memory, he lowered his voice, your brother called while you were gone, said it was urgent. My smile vanished. Did he leave a message? Just asked you to call home. Thanks. I wouldn't be calling back. Later that evening, as I was preparing to leave, my cell phone rang. Mom's number. I let it go to voicemail, but she called right back. What? I answered sharply. Don't take that tone with me, she snapped. We haven't heard from you in weeks. Travis needs... I'm at work, Mom. I can't talk. Work? That receptionist job? Honey, you need to think about your future. Your father knows someone at the bank who could... I have to go. I hung up, hands shaking. Family trouble? I jumped. Mr. Mills stood behind me, coat in hand. I'm sorry, sir. I don't usually take personal calls at work. Willow, he said kindly, I've been watching you. You're first in, last out. You study every document that crosses your desk. You've learned our filing system better than people who've been here for years. I straightened my shoulders. I want to learn everything I can, sir. Why? Because knowledge is power, I said without thinking, then blushed. I mean, no, you're exactly right, he smiled. How would you like to move up to paralegal? We'll adjust your schedule so you can finish your certification. My heart raced. I'd love that opportunity, sir. Good. And Willow? He paused at the door. Whatever's going on with your family, don't let it distract you. I see real potential in you. After he left, I sat at my desk, staring at my phone. 3 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Travis. Let them call. Let them need me. I opened my laptop and pulled up my paralegal coursework. Every hour studying was another step away from being that helpless girl whose dreams they'd stolen, another step toward becoming someone with real power. Knowledge is power, I whispered to myself, and began to read. 4 years flew by like pages in a windstorm. I stood in front of my office mirror, adjusting my new designer blazer, a gift to myself for making junior partner at 31. The brass nameplate on my desk still gave me a thrill. Willow Norton, partner. A knock at my door interrupted my moment of pride. Come in, Sylvia breezed in, now head of corporate law. Ready for the Henderson meeting? It's going to be brutal. When isn't it? I grabbed my tablet. Did you see their latest counteroffer? Insulting is what it was. She paused, studying my face. You okay? You look tired. Travis called last night, first time in 2 years. Ah. She sat on the edge of my desk. What did baby brother want? Didn't answer, but he left 6 voicemails, each more desperate than the last. Show me your game face, Sylvia demanded. I straightened my spine, lifted my chin, and let my expression cool into what Tobias called my shark smile. Better? Perfect. Now let's go eat some CEOs for breakfast. The Henderson meeting was exactly as brutal as predicted, but I'd learned from the best. 4 hours later, I had them exactly where I wanted them. So we're agreed, I said, sliding the contract across the table. 20 million plus restructuring terms. This is highway robbery, Henderson growled. No, I smiled my shark smile. This is business. Sign, or we'll see you in court. They signed. Back in my office, I finally checked my voicemails. Travis's voice increasingly panicked. Will, please, I really need to talk to you. It's bad this time. Really bad. They're going to take the house, Will. Mum and Dad's house. Please call me back. I don't know what to do. They're giving us 30 days. Willow, please, I'm begging you. I was still staring at my phone when Tobias walked in. Earth to Willow. Dad's looking for you. Sorry, I gestured at the phone. Family stuff? He perched on my desk, our old familiar positions reversed now that I had the corner office. Want to talk about it? Not much to say. They made their choices, I made mine. Yeah, but they're still family. I shot him a look. Easy to say when your family supported your dreams instead of stealing them. Fair point. He stood. Anyway, Dad wants to see you about the Martinez case. And Will? He paused at the door. Whatever you decide, I've got your back. Mr. Mills was waiting in his office, looking exactly as he had the day he hired me, just a little grayer at the temples. Sit down, Willow. Tell me about Henderson. Signed and delivered, 20 million plus all our terms. Excellent, he leaned back. You've come a long way from that receptionist desk. Thanks to you, sir. No, he shook his head. Thanks to you. Your drive, your determination. I just opened the door, you walked through it. My phone buzzed again. Travis. Problem? Mr. Mills asked. No, sir, just family. When I nodded, he continued, You know, I've never asked about them. Seemed like a sore subject. They made some choices I couldn't forgive. Ah, he studied me. And now they need your help? I looked up, startled. How did you— 30 years in law, Willow. I know that look. He paused. Want some advice? Always, sir. Sometimes the best revenge isn't punishment, it's success. He smiled. You've proven yourself. Maybe it's time to show them exactly who you've become. Back in my office, I pulled up the county records database. Sure enough, there it was. A foreclosure notice on my parents' house. They were underwater on the mortgage, months behind on payments. My phone rang again. Mom this time. Willow? Her voice was smaller than I remembered. Please don't hang up. What do you want, Mom? We need help. The bank. They're going to take the house. Travis tried everything, but what? His gambling buddies won't loan him more money. That's not fair, she protested weakly. No, I laughed. What's not fair is stealing your daughter's future to enable your son's addiction. What's not fair is— I stopped, took a breath. You know what? Never mind. I'll help. You will? The relief in her voice was painful. Yes, but we'll do this my way. All of you come to my office tomorrow at 2 p.m. Your office? Mills and Associates, 23rd floor, don't be late. I hung up and stared out my window at the city below. Mr. Mills was right. I'd proven myself. Now it was time to show my family exactly who they'd underestimated. Let them come to my territory. Let them see my name on the door, my view from the top. Let them finally see me. At 1:55 p.m., my assistant buzzed. Your family is here. Give me 2 minutes, then send them in. I stood behind my desk, smoothing my skirt. The wall of legal degrees and awards behind me felt like armor. The door opened. Mum entered first, looking smaller than I remembered, followed by Dad, who'd gone completely grey. Travis shuffled in last, unable to meet my eyes. Have a seat. I gestured to the chairs facing my desk. Willow, Mum started. This is quite an office. Partner perks. I sat down. So, tell me about the foreclosure. They exchanged glances. Travis cleared his throat. It's my fault. I borrowed against the house to cover some debts. Promised I'd pay it back, but you gambled that money away too? I finished, my voice ice cold. It wasn't like that, Mom jumped in. He was trying to invest— In what, Mom? Poker? Horses? Or has he graduated to sports betting? Now listen here, Dad finally spoke up. We didn't come for a lecture. No, you came for money. I opened a folder on my desk. The house is worth $320,000. You owe $425,000, thanks to multiple home equity loans. You're 4 months behind on payments, and the bank has initiated foreclosure proceedings. How did you— Travis started. I'm a lawyer, Travis. Finding information is what I do. I leaned forward. Here's what I don't understand. Where did all that equity go? The house was paid off when I left for college. Silence. That's what I thought. I stood up, walking to my window. You know what's interesting? I pulled Travis's credit report. 7 maxed out credit cards, 3 personal loans, and somehow he still has a gambling account with weekly deposits. You had no right, Travis jumped up. Sit down. My voice cracked like a whip. He sat. I have every right. You're asking me for help? This is how I help. By finding the truth. Please, Mum whispered. We'll lose everything. Like I lost everything? I turned to face them. Like when you stole my college fund? That was different, Dad protested weakly. You're right, it was different. Because I didn't gamble it away. I didn't throw it down a hole of addiction and lies. I returned to my desk. But here's what I'm offering. I pulled out a contract. I'll buy the house, pay off the mortgage, clear the debt, but there are conditions. What conditions? Travis asked suspiciously. First, Travis gets help. Real help. I've already arranged a spot at a rehabilitation facility. 6 months minimum. 6 months? He exploded. I can't. You can and you will. Second, I continued over his protests. Mom and Dad can stay in the house, but the deed will be in my name. And third, every penny Travis earns after rehab goes toward paying me back. That's blackmail, Mum stammered. No, that's consequences. Something this family never learned about. The door opened and Sylvia walked in right on cue. Sorry to interrupt. Are these the contracts for the house purchase? Perfect timing, I smiled. Mom, Dad, this is Sylvia Reynolds, head of corporate law. She'll be handling the paperwork. You planned all this, Travis accused. Of course I did. That's what successful people do, Travis. They plan. They don't gamble their family's future away. Dad stood up suddenly. We need time to think about this. You have 24 hours, I said. After that, the offer expires, and good luck finding another solution in time to stop the foreclosure. Come on, Mom tugged at Travis's arm. Let's go. At the door, Travis paused. You're enjoying this, aren't you, making us beg? No, Travis, I'm not enjoying this at all. I met his eyes. But someone has to stop this cycle. It might as well be me. After they left, Sylvia perched on my desk. Well, that was intense. Did I go too far? Are you kidding? That was masterful. Ice cold, but masterful. She studied my face. You okay? Ask me tomorrow. I picked up the contract. Think they'll sign? They don't have a choice. You're their only option, and they know it. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. We'll sign, but I hope you're happy with what you've become. I showed Sylvia the message. She snorted. What you've become? You mean successful, independent, powerful? Exactly. I smiled, but it felt brittle. Everything they never wanted me to be. I turned back to my window, watching the city lights flicker on as dusk approached. Tomorrow they'd sign. Tomorrow the tables would finally turn. But Mom's words echoed in my head. I hope you're happy with what you've become. The truth was, I wasn't sure how I felt about it either, but it was too late to turn back now. The conference room felt colder than usual as my family filed in the next morning. Mum's eyes were red-rimmed, Dad looked like he hadn't slept, and Travis just looked defeated. Sylvia laid out the contracts while I stood at the head of the table. Everything's in order, she said. Just needs signatures. Before we sign, Travis spoke up, his voice hoarse. I want to know something. Why are you really doing this, Will? I told you, someone has to... No. He stood up, hands flat on the table. The truth. Is this revenge? For the college fund? Sit down, Travis, Mom hissed. No, let him speak, I said. You want the truth? Fine. This isn't about revenge. This is about consequences, about finally facing reality instead of enabling more destruction. That's rich, he laughed bitterly. You standing there in your fancy suit, in your fancy office judging us. I earned this, I snapped. Every bit of it. While you were gambling away their retirement, I was working 80-hour weeks. While you were taking out loans you couldn't repay, I was studying law at night. Everything I have, I built myself. Because you're so perfect. Because I had no choice. My voice cracked. You took my choices away, remember? All of you. You took my dream and threw it away like it meant nothing. Willow, Dad started. No, let me finish. I took a breath. You know what the worst part was? Not losing Stanford. Not losing the money. It was realizing that to my own family, I would always matter less than Travis's next crisis. Silence filled the room like smoke. Sign the papers, I said quietly. Take the help I'm offering, or don't. But this is your last chance. Mom picked up the pen first. Her hand trembled as she signed. This isn't right, Travis muttered. What isn't right? Sylvia spoke up, is destroying your family's financial security for a gambling addiction. What isn't right is making your sister clean up your mess after stealing her future. Stay out of this, he snarled. Travis, Dad's voice was tired. Just sign the damn papers. One by one, they signed. When it was done, Sylvia gathered the contracts. The rehab center is expecting you tomorrow morning, I told Travis. A car will pick you up at 8 a.m. And if I don't go? Then Mom and Dad lose the house anyway. Your choice. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Mom started to follow, then turned back. Was it really so terrible? She asked. Growing up with us? No, Mom. Growing up was fine. It was being sacrificed for Travis that was terrible. We never meant to hurt me, to destroy my dreams, to make me feel worthless. I shook my head. But you did. And now here we are. Dad stood up slowly. You've made your point, Willow. You won. Are you happy now? This isn't about winning, Dad. This is about fixing what's broken. All of it. After they left, Sylvia touched my arm. You did the right thing. Then why does it feel so awful? Because you care. She squeezed my shoulder. That's what makes you different from them. You care enough to do the hard thing. My phone buzzed. A text from Tobias. Drinks tonight? You look like you need one. Go, Sylvia urged. I'll handle the paperwork. The bar was quiet for a Thursday. Tobias was already at our usual corner table. That bad, huh? He asked as I slumped into a chair. Worse. I told him everything. You know what's crazy? He said when I finished. You're actually helping them. Really helping them. Not just enabling more problems. Try telling them that. They'll figure it out. Eventually. He signaled for more drinks. Remember what Dad always says about tough cases? Sometimes the right decision feels wrong until it proves itself right. Exactly. He raised his glass. To doing the right thing even when it hurts. I clinked my glass against his, but before I could drink, my phone buzzed again. Travis. What? I answered. I'll go, he said quietly. To rehab. I'll go. Something tight in my chest loosened slightly. Good. But not for you, he added quickly. For Mom and Dad. And for me, I guess. That's even better. A pause. I really messed up, didn't I? Everything. Everyone. Yes, I said softly. But maybe now you can start fixing it. After we hung up, Tobias raised an eyebrow. Progress. Maybe. I stared into my drink. Or maybe just another promise he won't keep. Only one way to find out. Yeah. I took a sip. Time will tell. And for the first time since this all began, I felt something close to hope. 3 months after Travis entered rehab, Mum called during my lunch break. He's doing well, she said, her voice cautiously optimistic. The counselors say he's making progress. That's good. I picked up my salad, waiting for the other shoe to drop. He asked if you'd visit. There it was. I don't think that's a good idea. Please, Willow, he's really trying this time. Before I could respond, Sylvia burst into my office. Turn on the news, now. I switched on the wall-mounted TV. Mom, I have to go. The headline made my blood run cold. Major law firm implicated in fraud scandal. Below it, a familiar name scrolled across the screen. That's impossible, I whispered. We handled their accounts. Emergency partner meeting in 5 minutes, Sylvia said grimly. The conference room was chaos, partners shouting over each other, associates hovering nervously by the walls. Mr. Mills stood at the head of the table, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Quiet, he commanded. The room fell silent. The Henderson Group has been charged with massive securities fraud. They're claiming we knew about it. That's ridiculous, I stood up. I handled their contracts personally. Everything was... They're saying you specifically signed off on fraudulent documents. The room spun. What? They're trying to save themselves, Tobias spoke up. Throwing us under the bus. Willow, Mr. Mills said quietly. Did you check every document they provided? Of course I stopped, remembering. There had been so many papers, so many meetings. Had I missed something? My phone buzzed. Travis. Not now. We need to review everything, Sylvia announced. Every contract, every email, every post-it note. Already on it, I pulled out my tablet. I kept copies of everything. Hours blurred into days. I barely left the office, surviving on coffee and determination. My phone kept buzzing. Travis, Mom, Dad. I ignored them all. On the 4th day, Tobias found me asleep at my desk. Go home, he ordered. You're no good to anyone like this. Can't. Almost found. Something's not right with these numbers. Willow, He took my coffee cup away. You need rest. What I need is to not lose everything I've built. The words burst out of me. Do you know what they'll do if this sticks? I'll be disbarred. Everything I worked for, gone. Just like your college fund, he finished gently. I laughed, slightly hysterical. Karma's a bitch, right? This isn't karma. This is corporate sharks trying to save themselves. He paused. Have you talked to Travis? What does Travis have to do with anything? He keeps calling the office, says it's important. Everything's important with Travis. My phone buzzed again. Travis. For God's sake, answer it, Tobias said. I did. What? Will, listen. The Henderson thing. I know something. I sat up straight. What are you talking about? One of the guys here in rehab, he used to work in their accounting department. He's been watching the news and he says he has proof they were cooking the books way before you got involved. Put him on. An hour later, I burst into Mr. Mills's office clutching my phone. I've got it. Proof Henderson was committing fraud before they ever came to us. They doctored their books before presenting them. He looked up sharply. You're sure? My brother's rehab mate worked there. He kept copies of everything. Original documents, altered versions, emails discussing the changes. He's willing to testify. Mr. Mills smiled for the first time in days. Your brother's rehab mate? Sometimes help comes from unexpected places, I said softly. That night, I finally went home. My phone buzzed. Travis again. Thank you, I said when I answered. Did it help? More than you know. A pause. I'm trying, Will. Really trying this time. I know. The counselor says I should make amends. Real ones, not just words. I sank onto my couch. And I'm sorry. For everything. The college fund, the house, all of it. I know sorry doesn't fix it, but... No, I agreed. It doesn't fix it, but it's a start. Another pause. Will you visit? Please? I closed my eyes, thinking of karma and consequences of help from unexpected places. Next weekend, I said finally. I'll come next weekend. After we hung up, I stared at my reflection in the window. The woman who looked back wasn't the angry girl whose dreams were stolen, nor the cold lawyer seeking revenge. She was something in between, something still evolving. Maybe we all were. The rehab centre looked more like a college campus than a medical facility. I sat across from Travis in the visitors' lounge, both of us clutching paper cups of mediocre coffee. You look good, I said, and meant it. The haunted look in his eyes had faded. 4 months clean. He smiled slightly. Longest I've gone since college, probably. Mom says you're doing well. Most days. He fidgeted with his cup. Some days are harder, but I'm learning to deal with it. Actually deal with it, not just run away. A comfortable silence fell between us. The first in years. I found something, he said suddenly, pulling an envelope from his pocket. When I was cleaning out my old room at Mom and Dad's, before coming here. My stomach tightened. What is it? Letters. From Stanford. He slid the envelope across the table. From after we took your money. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were dozens of letters spanning months. Financial aid offers, work-study programs, alternative payment plans. They wanted me, I whispered. They were trying to help me find a way. Mom and Dad hid them. Travis couldn't meet my eyes. They said it would just hurt you more, seeing what you couldn't have. But really, they just didn't want you to leave. Why are you showing me this now? Because you deserve to know the whole truth. About everything. He took a deep breath. Including why they really took your college fund. My coffee went cold as Travis talked. About Dad's gambling debts from years ago. About Mom's secret credit cards. About how my college fund hadn't just gone to Travis's gambling. It had gone to cover decades of family financial secrets. They used me as the scapegoat, he said quietly. Let you blame me because, well, I was already the screw-up, right? Why didn't you tell me? Because I was guilty too. Maybe not of everything, but enough. He ran a hand through his hair. Besides, would you have believed me back then? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Dad's number. Speaking of truth, Travis said. They know I'm telling you today. That's probably them now, I answered. Hello? Don't listen to him. Dad's voice was desperate. He's confused. The rehab is making him... Is it true? I cut him off. Did you hide the Stanford letters? Silence. Did you use my money to cover your gambling debts too? Willow, please. I'm coming over, I said. Now. And this time, we're all going to tell the truth. I found them in their kitchen. My kitchen now, technically. Mum was stress baking, the counter covered in cookies no one would eat. Dad sat at the table looking small. Start talking, I said. They did. Everything Travis said was true and worse. Years of financial manipulation. Lies piled on lies. My college fund had been their last resort, their final safety net. And they'd sacrificed me, to save themselves. We never meant, Mum started. To get caught, I finished. That's the only thing you never meant to happen. What are you going to do? Dad asked. I looked around the kitchen where I'd grown up, where I'd done homework and baked cookies and dreamed of Stanford. Nothing, I said finally. Nothing. The house is still mine. The contracts stand. Travis stays in rehab. I stood up. But now I know the truth, and that's worth more than revenge. We did love you, Mum said softly. We still do. Love isn't enough, Mom. Trust is everything, and you broke that a long time ago. Back at my office, Sylvia found me staring out my window. That bad? Worse? I told her everything. Jesus, she whispered. What now? Now? I turned to face her. Now I keep the house. Keep helping Travis. Keep building my own life. Just like that? No. I smiled sadly. But I'm done letting their choices control my future. I've got my own path now. My phone buzzed. A text from Travis. Thank you for listening, for everything. You know what's funny? I said to Sylvia. All these years, I thought getting revenge would fix everything, make me feel whole again. And now? Now I realize the best revenge was never about hurting them. It was about healing myself. She hugged me tight. That's my girl. Another text came through from Mr. Mills. Dinner tonight? We need to discuss your future at the firm. Speaking of futures, I showed Sylvia the text. Want to bet he's finally ready to make me senior partner? After how you handled Henderson, it's about damn time. I looked at my reflection in the window, remembering that broken girl whose dreams were stolen. She wasn't broken anymore. She was finally, truly free. Senior partner, Mr. Mills announced, raising his glass. The youngest in the firm's history. The private dining room at La Maison erupted in applause. Sylvia hugged me, Tobias whistled, and the other partners nodded approvingly. Speech, someone called out. I stood, smoothing my dress. Thank you, all of you. Especially you, Mr. Mills, for seeing something in that determined receptionist all those years ago. I saw myself, he said quietly. Someone hungry for success, not because of greed, but because of necessity. My phone buzzed. Travis. Sorry, I told the group. I need to take this. In the restaurant's quiet hallway, I answered. Everything okay? Just finished my last therapy session, he said. 6 months clean today. Congratulations. The counselor thinks I'm ready to start working again. Actually, he hesitated. Remember that accounting degree I never finished? What about it? I'm going back. Online classes at first, but it's a start. That's amazing, Travis. I was thinking, he continued, maybe when I graduate I could help out at the firm. In the accounting department. I mean, I know I have to earn trust back, but one step at a time, I said gently. Focus on your degree first. Right. Yeah, he paused. Mom and Dad asked about you. What did you tell them? The truth, that you're doing great, that you're stronger than any of us knew. Back in the dining room, Mr. Mills was deep in conversation with Sylvia about the Henderson case. The evidence Travis's rehab mate provided had blown the case wide open, saving not just our firm but potentially dozens of investors. Speaking of Henderson, Mr. Mills turned to me. The SEC wants to know if you'll testify next month. Already prepared my statement. That's my girl, he smiled proudly. You know, I never had daughters. But, if I did... My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. A text. Saw your promotion in the paper. We're proud of you. If you ever want to talk... I showed Sylvia the message. You going to respond? She asked. Not tonight. I put the phone away. Tonight is about celebrating. Willow, Tobias called out. Tell them about the pro bono program you're starting. All eyes turned to me. It's nothing fancy, I said. Just a legal aid initiative for families facing foreclosure. Free counsel, payment plans, addiction resources if needed. Turning your pain into purpose, Sylvia whispered. Something like that. Later, as the party wound down, Mr. Mills pulled me aside. You've come so far, he said, but something's still bothering you. I got everything I wanted, I admitted. Success, power, revenge, so why doesn't it feel complete? Because revenge is empty without forgiveness. Not for them, but for yourself. I thought about Mom's text, about Travis's recovery, about all the lies and truth between us. I can't forget what they did. No one's asking you to forget, but maybe it's time to write a new story. One where you're not the victim, but the victor. My phone buzzed one last time. Dad, the house feels empty without you. Your old room is still here. Always will be. I typed back. Having dinner with my other family tonight. My chosen family. Maybe someday we can all have dinner together, but not yet. Baby steps, Mr. Mills said, reading over my shoulder. That's how empires are built. And families rebuilt? Sometimes. He squeezed my shoulder. But first you build yourself. The night air was crisp as we left the restaurant. Sylvia linked her arm through mine. So, senior partner, what's next? I looked up at the city lights, at the world of possibilities stretching before me. Next, we help people. We build something meaningful. We turn all this power into purpose. And your family? They're part of my story, I said slowly. But they don't get to write the ending anymore. I do. My phone lit up with responses. Support from Travis. Understanding from Dad. Hope from Mom. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But possibility. You know what the best revenge really is? I asked Sylvia. What's that? Living well, building something good from something broken, and choosing your own path no matter what anyone else planned for you. She hugged me tight. Now that's a revenge story worth telling. Above us, stars peeked through the city's glow, reminding me of that night years ago when I'd stared at my Stanford acceptance letter. I hadn't gotten that dream, but I'd built new ones, better ones, stronger ones, and this time, no one could take them away. Because this time, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving, and that was the sweetest revenge of all.
The conference room felt like a prison cell as I watched 15 years of dedication crumble in front of me. My father's face had turned that particular shade of red I'd grown to dread, while my mother wrung her hands in her lap, avoiding eye contact. I'm Lexi, and until today, I was the creative director of Burke Eco Solutions, our family's sustainability company. The same company I'd given up art school for. The same company I'd poured my heart and soul into since I was 19. These reports are fabricated, I said, spreading the documents across the polished table. Landon's been cutting corners with our suppliers. We're using non-biodegradable materials and marketing them as eco-friendly. My younger brother lounged in his chair, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. You've always been jealous of my success, sis, just because you can't handle modern business practices. Modern business practices, I shot back. You mean fraud? That's enough. My father's fist came down hard on the table, making the water glasses rattle. Lexi, these accusations are ridiculous. Landon has increased our profits by 40% since taking over operations. By lying to our customers, everything we built this company on. Times change, my mother interrupted softly. We need to adapt. I pulled up the company website on my tablet, hands shaking. Look at this. 100% sustainable materials. That's a lie. We're no better than the companies we used to criticize. Landon rolled his eyes. God, you're so dramatic. This is business, not your little art projects. The mention of art stung more than it should have. I'd wanted to go to art school since I was 12, but when the family business needed help, I'd put those dreams aside. Now here I was, watching my brother destroy everything we'd built. Dad, I pleaded, remember what you always said. Integrity first, profit second. That was before we nearly went bankrupt, he replied coldly. Landon saved us, by turning us into exactly what we fought against. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. I have proof, real proof. If this gets out... It won't get out, Landon cut in, his voice dangerous, because you're fired. The room went silent. I looked at my father, waiting for him to object, to defend me, to remember all the nights I'd stayed late helping him with paperwork, all the weekends I'd sacrificed. Instead, he nodded. It's for the best, Lexi. You're clearly not aligned with our new direction. New direction? I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. You mean selling out everything we believed in? My mother finally looked up. Please, sweetie, don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'm trying to save our company, I was shouting now, tears burning in my eyes. Our reputation, our legacy. Security will escort you out, Landon said, already typing on his phone. Clear your desk by 5. I looked at each of them. My mother's averted gaze, my father's stern disappointment, Landon's satisfied smirk. 15 years of loyalty, reduced to this moment. You're making a mistake, I said, gathering my things. When this comes out, and it will come out, you'll lose everything. My father stood, his voice ice cold. Get out, Lexi. You're not our daughter anymore. The words hit like a physical blow. I straightened my spine, years of suppressed anger finally breaking free. Fine, but remember this moment, Dad. Remember it when it all falls apart. I walked out of that conference room with my head high, past the shocked faces of employees I'd worked with for years. In my office, I didn't bother taking much, just my personal photos, my sketchbook, and a small potted succulent Riley had given me last Christmas. As security watched me leave, I heard Landon's voice behind me. Don't forget to turn in your keycard, sis. I turned around one last time, meeting his eyes. You know what, Landon? Keep it. You'll need a reminder of how things used to be when this house of cards collapses. The glass doors closed behind me with a final click. Standing on the sidewalk, clutching my sad little box of belongings, I should have felt defeated. Instead, I felt something else stirring. Determination, maybe. Or revenge. My phone buzzed. A text from Riley. Heard what happened. Meet me at Cafe Luna in 20. Think I might have an interesting proposition for you. I smiled, wiping away the last of my tears. They thought they were ending my story, but maybe they were just giving me the push I needed to start a new one. And this time, I'd write it my way. Cafe Luna was packed with the usual afternoon crowd, but I spotted Riley immediately. She always stood out with her signature red blazer and no-nonsense posture, a remnant from her corporate days. As I approached, she pushed a steaming mug across the table. Ordered your usual, double-shot oat milk latte, extra hot. You're a lifesaver, I said, sinking into the chair, though I could use something stronger. Already ahead of you. She pulled out a small flask and discreetly added a splash to both our coffees. Getting fired by your own family deserves at least an Irish coffee. I took a long sip, letting the warmth spread through my chest. How did you hear so fast? Your brother's already bragging about it on LinkedIn. Exciting changes in upper management or some corporate BS like that. Of course he is. I gripped the mug tighter. 15 years, Riley. 15 years of my life, and they threw me away like yesterday's recycling. Their loss? Riley leaned forward, her eyes sparking with that look I knew meant trouble. But maybe it's your gain. Remember Noel Jenkins? The guy who created that solar-powered water filtration system. The very same. He's looking for partners for a new venture. sustainable products, but with a focus on design and artistry. The minute I heard what happened, I called him. My heart skipped. Riley, I can't. Yes, you can. She pulled out her tablet, sliding it across the table. Look at this proposal. They need someone who understands both sustainability and aesthetics. Someone who can make eco-friendly products beautiful. I scrolled through the documents, my artist's eye catching on the preliminary designs. They were good, but they could be better. My fingers itched to sketch improvements. There's more, Riley said, watching my reaction. Someone wants to meet you, someone big. Who? Angelina Tran. I nearly choked on my coffee. The Angelina Tran, widow of... The same. She's been following your work at Burke for years. Says you're the only one who stayed true to the original vision. But she never meets with anyone. Not since her husband. She'll meet with you. Tomorrow morning, her estate. Riley's phone buzzed. That's Noel now. He can meet us for dinner tonight if you're free. My head was spinning. 24 hours ago, I thought my career was over. Now, what if I'm not ready? I whispered. What if... Stop. Riley reached across the table, gripping my hand. Remember when I got pushed out of Global Green? You told me something I never forgot. Sometimes being pushed off a cliff teaches you that you had wings all along. I laughed despite myself. That sounds more profound than anything I'd say. Well, you were drunk at the time, she grinned. But you were right. Look at me now, consulting for the top eco firms in the country, making triple what I did before. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is exactly what needs to happen. My phone lit up with a text. My mother. Please reconsider. We can work this out as a family. I turned the phone face down without responding. You know, Riley said, watching me, the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's succeeding so spectacularly, they have to watch from the sidelines. I don't want revenge, I said automatically, then paused. Okay, maybe a little revenge. That's my girl. Riley stood, gathering her things. Dinner with Noel at 7 Pines at 7. Wear something that says future CEO who's going to change the world. I don't have anything that says that. Yes, you do. That black dress you wore to the Sustainability Awards last year, the one that made your brother's girlfriend jealous. I smiled, remembering. You're right, I do still have that. Perfect. Riley headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, and Lexi. One more thing. Angelina specifically mentioned your art background. Bring your portfolio tomorrow. My portfolio? But I haven't drawn anything in years. Might want to fix that before morning. She winked. Sometimes the dreams we give up come back around when we're ready for them. After she left, I sat there for a long moment, staring at my reflection in the cafe window. The woman looking back at me didn't look defeated anymore. She looked ready. I pulled out my old sketchbook from the box of office belongings and opened to a fresh page. My hand remembered the motions, even after all these years, as I began to sketch what could be beautiful, sustainable products that didn't compromise either aesthetics or ethics. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Landon. Hope you're not bitter about today. Business is business. I didn't respond. Instead, I kept sketching, each stroke of the pencil feeling like a step forward on a new path. My path. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. Angelina Tran's estate loomed before me, a modernist masterpiece of glass and sustainable bamboo. The security guard checked my ID twice before letting me through the gates, his expression suggesting visitors were rare here. An elderly housekeeper led me through a maze of corridors filled with contemporary art. She stopped at a sunlit conservatory, where a small woman in her 60s sat surrounded by exotic plants, sketching in a leather-bound notebook. Mrs. Tran, the housekeeper announced, Miss Lexi is here. Angelina looked up, her dark eyes sharp and assessing. Right on time. I appreciate punctuality. She gestured to the chair across from her. Sit, tea. Yes, thank you. I perched on the edge of the seat, clutching my portfolio. Green tea, Margaret, Angelina called out, and those almond cookies I like. Once we were alone, she set aside her notebook. So, You finally left Burke. I didn't exactly. You were pushed out, I know. I've been watching your family's company destroy itself for months now. She leaned forward. Show me your portfolio. I handed it over, my hands trembling slightly. She flipped through it slowly, her expression unreadable. These designs, she said, pointing to my newest sketches from last night. When did you do these? Yesterday, after everything happened. Interesting. She turned another page. You know, your father came to me 15 years ago, begging for investment money. This was news to me. He never mentioned, of course not. I turned him down. She smiled thinly. My husband had just died, and everyone thought I would sell our company. Instead, I transformed it into something better, something true to our original vision. I remember, you were the first major corporation to go completely carbon neutral. Yes, and it cost us nearly everything. She closed my portfolio. Your brother's changes at Burke, they're exactly what my competitors tried to pressure me into. Cutting corners, greenwashing, putting profit over planet. The housekeeper returned with tea and cookies. Angelina waited until she left before continuing. Last night, you had dinner with Noel Jenkins. How did you... I know everything that happens in this industry, dear. What did you think of him? I thought about our dinner conversation, how Noel's eyes had lit up when I showed him my designs. He's brilliant, passionate, but he needs help with the aesthetic side of things. Yes, Angelina sipped her tea. And you need help with the business side. That's why I called you here. She stood walking to a wall of windows overlooking her magnificent gardens. I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone. The day my husband died, he left me a letter. He said, "Don't let them turn our dream into their profit." I've spent 20 years honoring that promise. She turned back to me. Now I'm ready to do more. I want to mentor you, Lexi. I nearly dropped my teacup. Me? You have what I had back then, fire, principle. And now, you have nothing left to lose. She smiled. That makes you dangerous. I don't want to be dangerous. I just want to create something meaningful. The two aren't mutually exclusive. She returned to her seat. Your dinner with Noel went well. Riley's on board. Now you need capital, connections, and knowledge. I can provide all three. My heart was racing. Why me? Because you remind me of myself. And because... She hesitated. Your father didn't just ask me for money 15 years ago. He tried to steal my husband's patents while we were still grieving. Did you know that? I felt sick. No, of course not. You were too busy sacrificing everything to save his company. Her voice softened. Sometimes karma needs a little help, don't you think? I set down my teacup. What exactly are you proposing? I'll invest in your venture with Noel, teach you everything I know, open every door. Her eyes glittered. In return, you'll build something so revolutionary, so successful, that Burke Eco Solutions becomes irrelevant. You want me to destroy my family's company? No, dear. I want you to build something better. They'll destroy themselves. She pushed a folder across the table. Here's my offer. Take it home. Read it carefully. I stood on shaky legs, clutching the folder. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. Opportunities like this are like butterflies. Beautiful but fleeting. She walked me to the door. Oh, and Lexi, check page 6 of that folder. I think you'll find the information about your brother's overseas suppliers particularly interesting. As I drove home, my mind was spinning. The folder sat heavy in my bag, full of promises and secrets. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. How could you do this to us? I pulled over, took out the folder, and turned to page 6. What I read made my decision for me. Sometimes karma does need a little help. 3 months flew by in a whirlwind of meetings, designs, and late-night planning sessions. Our new company, Eden Essence, had taken over the entire top floor of a renovated warehouse. I stood at the window, watching the sunrise paint the sky pink, when Riley burst through the door. They're here, the first prototype samples. Noel followed behind her, carrying a large box. Hot off the sustainable bamboo production line, my hands shook as I lifted the lid. Inside lay our first product line, a collection of home goods that looked more like art pieces than eco-friendly alternatives. I picked up a water pitcher, running my fingers over the organic curves I'd sketched months ago. "It's perfect," I breathed. "The bamboo glass fusion actually worked, and it's 100% traceable," Noel added, pulling up specs on his tablet. "Every component, every worker, every step of production, completely transparent and ethical." Riley was already snapping photos. "The pre-orders are going to go crazy when people see these. We've got lifestyle influencers lined up, sustainable living bloggers." My phone buzzed, a news alert about Burke Eco Solutions. I opened it, my heart stopping as I read the headline. "Major eco company faces investigation over false environmental claims." "Guys," I said, turning my phone around. "Look." Riley whistled low. "Wow, someone leaked documents about their overseas suppliers." "Someone?" Noel raised an eyebrow at me. "Not me." I set the phone down, though I might know who did. The article detailed exactly what I'd discovered months ago. The toxic materials, the exploited workers, the falsified certificates. Landon's handiwork, all of it. "Your timing is impeccable," came a voice from the doorway. Angelina stood there, elegant as ever in her signature black pantsuit. "The market is about to have a very large hole in it, one that Eden Essence can fill." "Mrs. Tran," Noel scrambled to his feet. "We weren't expecting you until the board meeting. I like to surprise people." She walked over to inspect our prototypes. "Excellent craftsmanship. The design is inspired." She picked up one of my sketches. "You found your voice again, Lexi." Before I could respond, my phone started ringing. Mom's face flashed on the screen. "Take it," Angelina said. "It's time." I stepped into the hallway, heart pounding. "Hello?" "How could you?" Mom's voice was raw. "The FBI is here, Lexi. They're going through everything." "I didn't. Your brother is being questioned. Your father's in the hospital. His heart, Lexi. His heart." My own heart clenched, but I forced my voice to stay steady. "I warned you, Mom. I showed you the evidence months ago. You chose not to listen." "We're your family." "No," I said quietly. "You made it very clear I wasn't family when you chose Landon's lies over my truth." I ended the call and walked back into the office, where Riley was organizing our product launch presentation. "You okay?" she asked. "Better than okay." I picked up one of our prototypes, a solar-powered lamp that looked like a piece of abstract sculpture. Let's change the world. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Our marketing team arrived, photographers set up shoots, and social media started buzzing with teasers. By afternoon, Jocker Eden Essence was trending. "Look at this," Noel said, showing me his phone. The top comment on our preview post read, "Finally, eco-friendly products that don't look like eco-friendly products." "Speaking of looking good," Riley called from her desk, "wait until you see tomorrow's Business Weekly. They're running a feature on female entrepreneurs in sustainable tech. Guess who's on the cover?" I groaned. "Please tell me you're joking." "Front page," Angelina confirmed, looking pleased. The former Burke Eco Solutions creative director, now revolutionizing sustainable design. The timing couldn't be better. My phone buzzed again, Landon this time. I declined the call. "You know," Noel said, studying our product line, "we should send a complete set to Burke Eco Solutions, as a professional courtesy." Riley snorted. "Professional courtesy my ass. You just want to twist the knife." "No," I said, an idea forming. "He's right, but not to twist the knife, to show them what they could have had if they'd stayed true to their principles." Angelina smiled that sphinx-like smile of hers. "Now you're thinking like a CEO." I looked around the room, at Riley's fierce loyalty, Noel's brilliant innovation, Angelina's steady guidance, and my own designs finally coming to life. This was what family should feel like. My phone lit up with another news alert. Burke Eco Solutions stock plummets amid scandal. I turned off my phone and picked up my sketchbook instead. Let's focus on tomorrow's launch. We've got a world to change. And for the first time since that day in the conference room, I felt nothing but gratitude for being pushed out. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what you were meant to build. The launch party for Eden Essence was in full swing. Our renovated warehouse transformed into an eco-chic wonderland. Every major player in sustainable business was there, admiring our products displayed like museum pieces under soft, energy-efficient lighting. "Another magazine wants an interview," Riley said, appearing at my elbow with 2 glasses of organic champagne. "Forbes this time." I took a sip, watching the crowd. "How's the pre-order numbers?" "Off the charts. We've had to triple our production capacity." She grinned. "And Burke Eco Solutions just announced major layoffs." Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the crowd. "Lexi." My mother stood near the entrance, looking smaller than I remembered in her designer suit. The room suddenly felt too warm. "I've got this," Riley said, moving to intercept her, but I caught her arm. "No, let her come." Mom wound her way through the crowd, her eyes darting around the space. "This is impressive. What are you doing here? I needed to see you." She clutched her purse like a shield. "Your father's being indicted. Landon too. They're saying terrible things." "True things," I corrected quietly. "We need your help, your influence. If you could just speak to some people." "Mrs. Burke," Angelina's voice cut in smoothly as she appeared beside me. "How lovely to see you after all these years. I trust your husband's blood pressure has improved." Mum's face went pale. You did this." "No, your son did this. Your husband did this. I merely ensured the truth came to light." Angelina's smile was razor sharp. Karma, as they say, is a patient businesswoman. "We're family," Mum pleaded, turning back to me. "Doesn't that mean anything?" I set down my champagne glass. "It meant everything. That's why it hurt so much when you chose profit over principles, when you threw me away." "We didn't." "Yes, you did." I gestured to the space around us. "But look what happened. I found my real family. People who believe in the same things I do, who support each other instead of tearing each other down." A commotion near the door drew our attention. Landon pushed his way inside, his usual polished appearance notably disheveled. "Security," Riley called out, but I waved them off. "Let him come." Landon stormed over, his face red. "Happy now, sis? Everything we built is falling apart." "Everything you destroyed, you mean?" I corrected. "I tried to warn you." "Those documents were confidential. You had no right." "I didn't leak them, Landon, but I'm glad someone did." He laughed bitterly, gesturing at the displays. "So, this is your revenge? Pretty products for rich hippies." Noel stepped forward. "Your sister just secured contracts with 3 major retail chains. These pretty products will be in every major store by next quarter. At prices people can actually afford," Riley added, "with complete supply chain transparency." "You're finished, Landon," I said quietly. "But it didn't have to be this way. You chose this." "Your father is sick because of you," Mom cut in. "No," Angelina interrupted. "He's sick because he couldn't face the consequences of his own actions. Just like he couldn't 20 years ago when he tried to steal my husband's patents." Mom's face went white. "How did you—" "Please leave," I said, suddenly tired. "Both of you. Enjoy the party favors on your way out. They're all sustainable, of course." "This isn't over," Landon snarled. "Actually, it is." I nodded to security, who finally moved in. "Your company is facing federal charges, Landon. Maybe focus on finding a good lawyer instead of threatening me." As they were escorted out, I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was Angelina. "You handled that perfectly," she said, "like a true CEO." "Speaking of which," Riley cut in, "the Times reporter is ready for your interview. They want photos with the product line." I straightened my shoulders, smoothed my dress. "Let's give them something to write about." The rest of the evening passed in a blur of interviews, congratulations, and partnership offers. Near midnight, as the last guests were leaving, I found myself alone with my core team. To Eden Essence, Noel raised his glass, and to Lexi, who proved that doing good can look good too. To Karma, Riley added with a wink. To family, I said, looking at each of them, the one we choose. My phone buzzed. Another news alert about Burke Eco Solutions, but I didn't open it. I didn't need to. My success wasn't about their failure anymore. It was about staying true to my principles, about creating something meaningful. Ready for tomorrow? Angelina asked, gathering her things to leave. The real work begins now. I looked around at our beautiful space, at the products we'd created, at the team we'd built. Bring it on. As if on cue, Riley's phone chimed. Another major order just came in. They want to feature us in their spring sustainability campaign. I smiled, picking up my sketchbook. Then we better get to work. I have some new designs in mind. The night view of the city sparkled through our windows, full of promise and possibility. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well, on your own terms. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters when I arrived. 6 months had passed since our launch, and today was Landon's sentencing hearing. I hadn't planned to come, but something pulled me here. Miss Burke, the reporters surged forward. Any comment on your brother's guilty plea? How does it feel to see your family's company dismantled? I pushed through them without commenting, only to find Riley waiting at the top of the steps. Thought you might need backup, she said, linking her arm through mine. Inside, the courtroom was already packed. My parents sat in the front row, both looking years older than when I'd last seen them. Mom's hair had gone completely grey. Dad kept dabbing at his forehead with a handkerchief. We can leave, Riley whispered. No, I need to see this through. Landon entered in handcuffs, his designer suit replaced by something off the rack. He looked small somehow, nothing like the swaggering brother who'd had me thrown out of the company. The judge cleared her throat. Before I deliver the sentence, would anyone like to speak on the defendant's behalf? My father stood shakily. Your Honor, my son made mistakes, but... Mistakes? The word left my mouth before I could stop it. Every head in the courtroom turned. Miss Burke, the judge said, would you like to make a statement? I felt Riley squeeze my hand as I stood. Yes, Your Honor. Walking to the podium, I finally met Landon's eyes. There was no smirk now, no arrogance, just fear. My brother didn't make mistakes, I said clearly. He made choices, calculated decisions to deceive customers, exploit workers, and damage the environment for profit. He betrayed everything our company stood for. Lexi, please, Mum whispered from her seat. But, I continued, he's not the only one responsible. Our father encouraged it. Our mother enabled it. They chose profit over principle, and now thousands of people have lost their jobs because of it. The judge leaned forward. Are you asking for a harsh sentence, Miss Burke? No. I took a deep breath. I'm asking for rehabilitation. My brother's smart. He's talented. If he used those skills to actually help the environment instead of exploiting it. I turned to face Landon directly. You could still do something meaningful with your life. The judge nodded thoughtfully. After a moment, she spoke. Mr. Burke, please rise. Landon stood, his shoulders hunched. Taking into account your guilty plea and your sister's statement, I sentence you to 4 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. During that time, you will work with environmental cleanup initiatives. Additionally, you will pay restitution to all affected parties. The gavel came down with finality. As Landon was led away, he caught my eye one last time. I'm sorry, he mouthed. Outside, my parents were waiting. That was kind of you, Dad said stiffly, speaking for him like that. I didn't do it for him. I squared my shoulders. I did it because revenge doesn't solve anything. Building something better does. We've seen the news, Mom said quietly. Your company. It's everything ours should have been. Yes, it is. Maybe. Dad cleared his throat. Maybe we could talk. About the future. About rebuilding. No. The word came out gentle but firm. I'm not coming back to fix what you broke. I'm building my own legacy now. But we're still your parents, Mom pleaded. Yes, you are. And maybe someday we can have a relationship again. But not a business one. Never again. My phone buzzed. A text from Noel. Turn on CNBC now. Riley already had it pulled up on her phone. The headline made my heart stop. Eden Essence selected for Global Environmental Innovation Award. What's happening? Dad asked, trying to peek at the screen. Life, I said, smiling. Life is happening. Goodbye, Mum. Dad, take care of each other. Walking down those courthouse steps felt like walking into a new chapter. Riley linked her arm through mine again. You okay? Better than okay. I showed her another text, this one from Angelina. Come to the office. Time to discuss international expansion. Speaking of expansion, Riley grinned, wait until you see the latest sales figures. We're not just beating Burke's old numbers, we're demolishing them. That's not what matters anymore. No? She raised an eyebrow. No. What matters is that somewhere, someone is using our products and realizing that doing the right thing can be beautiful too. We reached my car, where the media was still waiting. This time, I stopped. Miss Burke, what's your response to the verdict? I looked directly into the cameras. The only response that matters is action. Want to know what I think? Come to Eden Essence tomorrow. We're announcing something big. Riley laughed as we drove away. You're such a tease. They don't know about the solar project yet. They will tomorrow. I smiled, thinking of the designs waiting on my desk, of the future we were building. Sometimes the best way forward isn't looking back at all. The Global Environmental Innovation Awards ceremony buzzed with anticipation. I sat between Riley and Noel, trying not to fidget with my sustainable silk dress, a prototype from our new clothing line. Relax, Riley whispered. You've got this. Easy for you to say. You're not giving the keynote. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC announced, please welcome our next speaker, the CEO of Eden Essence, and this year's Innovation Award recipient, Lexi Burke. The applause felt surreal as I walked to the podium. Faces looked up at me expectantly. Industry leaders, environmental activists, and there, in the front row, Angelina nodding encouragingly. A year ago, I began, I sat in a conference room and watched everything I believed in crumble. My family's company, which had pioneered sustainable business practices, chose profit over principle. I lost my job, my family, and my purpose, or so I thought. The room was silent now, hanging on every word. But sometimes losing everything is just life's way of making room for something better. Today, Eden Essence isn't just a company, it's a movement. We're proving that sustainability doesn't mean sacrifice, that doing good and looking good aren't mutually exclusive. I clicked to the first slide, showing our solar project designs. I'm excited to announce that Eden Essence is partnering with global architecture firms to integrate our solar-powered art installations into urban spaces. Imagine city parks, powered by sculptures that are both beautiful and functional. Imagine public spaces that celebrate sustainability instead of hiding it. The next slide showed our new clothing line, and this is just the beginning. Today we're launching Eden Wear, fashion that's completely traceable, sustainable, and designed to last. No more fast fashion, no more hidden supply chains. Movement at the back of the hall caught my eye. My parents slipped in, taking seats in the last row. I faltered for a moment, then continued stronger. But the real innovation isn't in our products. It's in our promise, complete transparency. Every material, every worker, every process, visible to all. Because we believe that when you have nothing to hide, you have everything to gain. The applause was thunderous. As I returned to my seat, my phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. Landon, from prison. Watching the live stream. You were right all along. Proud of you, sis. I tucked the phone away as the award presentation began. When they called my name again, I walked up with my team. This award belongs to all of us, I said, holding up the recycled glass trophy. To everyone who believed that doing the right thing is always the right choice. At the reception afterward, Angelina appeared with a tall man in an impeccably tailored suit. Lexi, meet Marcus from Goldman Sachs. He's interested in taking Eden Essence public. My eyes widened. Public? But we're barely a year old. Your growth metrics are unprecedented, Marcus said. And your brand loyalty. I haven't seen numbers like these since Apple. Before I could respond, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Mum stood there, Dad beside her. Your speech, she said softly. It was beautiful. Thank you. I turned to introduce them to Marcus, but he and Angelina had tactfully disappeared. We've been following everything, Dad said. Your success, your innovations. You've built something remarkable. We were wrong, Mom added, about everything. We wanted to tell you that. I studied their faces, the genuine regret, the pride they'd never shown before. Would you like to see our new designs? I heard myself ask. Their faces lit up. As we walked toward the display area, Riley intercepted us. Sorry to interrupt, but Tokyo's on the line. They want to move up the launch date. Go, Dad said. We can catch up another time. Maybe dinner next week. I nodded slowly. Dinner would be nice. After they left, Noel appeared with champagne. To our fearless leader. To all of us, I corrected, including Riley and the rest of our team gathering around. Speaking of all of us, Riley grinned, wait until you see tomorrow's Times. They're calling us the future of ethical business. No pressure, I laughed. The evening wound down, but the energy remained electric. As we gathered for one last team photo, I caught my reflection in the window. I barely recognized the confident woman looking back at me. Hey, Riley nudged me. Where'd you go just now? Just thinking about that conference room a year ago, how losing everything turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. To us, she corrected. Now, about Tokyo, I smiled, pulling out my sketchbook, the same one I'd carried out of Burke Eco Solutions that last day. I have some ideas, because that's the thing about rock bottom. It's a pretty solid foundation to build something extraordinary. The morning sun streamed through Eden Essence's new headquarters, a renovated historical building powered entirely by our solar art installations. I stood in my office, putting the finishing touches on a display of our journey, our first prototype, newspaper clippings, and in the center, my original sketchbook. A knock at the door made me turn. Angelina stood there, looking elegant as ever. Ready for the transition announcement? Almost. I adjusted the frame containing our first product photo. Hard to believe you're really retiring. It's time. She walked over to examine the display. You've exceeded every expectation I had when I decided to mentor you. I had good teachers, I smiled. You, karma. Speaking of karma, Riley burst in, waving her tablet. You need to see this. She pulled up a video of Landon being interviewed after his release from prison. He looked different, humbler, more grounded. My sister was right, he was saying. Success built on lies isn't success at all. That's why I'm dedicating my community service to teaching sustainable business practices to at-risk youth. Turn it off, I said softly. There's more, Riley insisted. He's been consulting with environmental cleanup projects, actually making a difference. People can change, Angelina observed, when they want to. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. We're here for the announcement. Your father's nervous but excited. They're really doing it, Riley asked, reading over my shoulder. I nodded. Dad's officially transferring what's left of Burke Eco Solutions to Landon's youth program. They're converting the old offices into a sustainability education center. Full circle, Angelina smiled. Now, shall we give them something to talk about? We headed to the conference room, now packed with media, employees, and industry leaders. Noel was already at the podium, running through our latest quarterly results. "And now," he said, beaming, "the moment everyone's been waiting for. Please welcome our CEO, Lexi." The applause was warm as I took the stage. In the audience, I spotted my parents sitting next to Landon. Mom gave me a thumbs up. When we launched Eden Essence, we had a dream of making sustainability beautiful and accessible. Today, that dream has grown beyond anything we imagined. Our solar art installations power cities worldwide. Our products have made eco-friendly living the new normal. I gestured to Angelina to join me. Mrs. Tran has been our guiding light, our mentor, and our biggest supporter. Today, as she steps into retirement, we're not just celebrating her legacy, we're building on it. I'm proud to announce that Eden Essence is establishing the Tran Foundation for Environmental Innovation with an initial endowment of $50 million. Angelina's usually composed face showed genuine surprise. We hadn't told her about this part, but that's not all, I continued. The Foundation's first project will be partnering with a new sustainability education center run by someone who learned the hard way that principles matter more than profit. Landon stood up, straightening his tie. "Thank you, sis. I won't let you down. Not again." The press conference dissolved into excited chatter as reporters rushed to get comments. In the chaos, I felt a hand on my arm. "Dad, I've never said this," he said, voice rough with emotion. "But I was wrong, and I'm so proud of you." "We both are," Mom added, joining us. "You built something amazing." "We built something amazing," I corrected, gesturing to my team. "All of us." Riley clinked a spoon against her glass, calling for attention. "Sorry to interrupt the family moment, but Tokyo's waiting for their virtual tour of the new installations." "Go," Dad smiled. "We'll see you Sunday for dinner." Wouldn't miss it. As the room cleared out, I found myself alone with Angelina one last time. "You planned this perfectly," she said. "The foundation, Landon's program, all of it." I learned from the best. I handed her a small package. "One last thing." She opened it to find a framed photo of us from the launch party, along with a handwritten note. "Sometimes karma needs a helping hand. Sometimes it needs a whole family." "You know," she said, touching the frame gently, "revenge is sweet, but this is better." "It's not about revenge anymore," I agreed. "It's about building something that matters." My phone chimed, Riley sending me the schedule for tomorrow's meetings. Tokyo, London, Sydney. Eden Essence had gone global, but our core values remained the same. "Ready to change more worlds?" Riley called from the doorway. I picked up my sketchbook, no longer filled with just dreams, but with reality. Always. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's creating something so beautiful, so meaningful, that it transforms not just your own life, but everyone else's too. And that's a legacy worth building.
The gleaming black Mercedes sat in our driveway like an insult. 3 weeks after Mom's funeral, and there was Leonard, grinning as he polished its hood with a microfiber cloth, as if he hadn't just spent what should have been my inheritance on his midlife crisis. I'm Danielle, and until recently I thought I knew what grief felt like. Turns out, watching your stepfather splurge on luxury cars while your mother's memory is still fresh in the ground is a whole different kind of pain. "Beautiful, isn't she?" Leonard called out as I walked up the driveway. "Come take a look at the interior. Italian leather." I forced a smile, the kind Mom taught me to use in uncomfortable situations. "Wow, Leonard, that's quite something." "Your mother would have loved it," he said, and something inside me snapped. The casual way he threw Mom's name around, like he had any right to guess what she would have wanted. My phone buzzed. A text from Reagan. "Still on for coffee? You sound like you need it." "I have to go," I told Leonard, already backing away. Meeting Reagan. At the coffee shop, Reagan took one look at my face and ordered me a double-shot espresso. "Spill it," she said, sliding into our usual corner booth. "He bought a Mercedes," I said, my hands shaking slightly as I wrapped them around the warm cup. "A brand new Mercedes, Reagan. Mum's been gone 3 weeks." "That doesn't add up," Reagan frowned. Wasn't your mom's life insurance supposed to go to me? Yeah. I took a sip of coffee, burning my tongue. Leonard said there were complications with the policy, that it would take time to sort out. But somehow he has money for a luxury car. Have you seen any paperwork? No. He keeps everything in his study, the one room in the house that's always locked. Reagan leaned forward, lowering her voice. Then maybe it's time we found a way in. That evening, I came home to find Eloise, my stepsister, sitting on the front steps. Her eyes were red. Dad's acting weird, she said as I sat beside her. He's been making all these phone calls, speaking in whispers. I heard him mention Mom's name, your Mom's name, and something about offshore accounts. My heart started racing. When was this? Last night. He didn't know I was home. She wiped her eyes. Danny, what's going on? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a text from Sergio. Found something you need to see. Can you meet now? I squeezed Eloise's hand. I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. 20 minutes later, I was in Sergio's car, parked a block from my house. He handed me a crumpled bank statement. Found this in the recycling bin outside your house, he said. Was doing some research for work and spotted it. My hands trembled as I read the numbers. Large transfers, all made within days of Mom's death, moving through accounts I'd never seen before. This is it, I whispered. This is how he did it. Sergio touched my arm gently. What are you going to do? I folded the statement carefully and tucked it into my jacket pocket. First, I'm going to find out exactly what he's hiding in that study. Then, I took a deep breath, feeling something hard and determined settle in my chest. Then, I'm going to take back what's mine. When I got home, Leonard was still in the driveway admiring his new car in the fading light. He looked up as I approached, that same self-satisfied smile on his face. Changed your mind about checking out the interior? I smiled back, channeling every ounce of false warmth I could muster. Actually, yes. You know what? I would love to see it. As he eagerly showed me every feature of his new toy, I made mental notes of every detail, every number, every date. The car was purchased exactly 17 days after Mom's death, the same day as one of those suspicious transfers. It's really something, I said, running my hand along the dashboard. Mom would be proud. His smile flickered for just a second, so brief I almost missed it. But it was there. Guilt, fear, confirmation. That night, lying in bed, I pulled out Mom's last letter to me. Trust your instincts, mi amor, she'd written. You're stronger than you know. I touched the words gently, feeling the indent of her pen strokes under my fingers. I won't let him get away with this, Mom, I whispered into the darkness. I promise. We need to be smart about this, Reagan said, spreading documents across her kitchen table. One wrong move and Leonard could destroy everything. I nodded, studying the bank statement Sergio had found. 3 days had passed since discovering it, and we'd been gathering intel ever since. The transfers all went through some company called Horizon Ventures. Shell company, Sergio said, looking up from his laptop. I did some digging. It was registered 2 months before your mum passed away. My stomach churned. He was planning this before she even died? Look at this, Reagan pointed to her screen. Leonard's been making regular trips to the First National Bank downtown, every Tuesday like clockwork. That's his long lunch break, I said, pieces clicking into place. He always says he's meeting clients. My phone buzzed. Eloise. Dad's in his study, doors unlocked for once. Home alone. Now's our chance, I said, showing them the text. I need to get in there. I'll drive. Sergio stood up. Reagan, can you keep monitoring those accounts? Already on it. Be careful, both of you. The drive home was tense. Sergio kept glancing at me. You sure about this? Mom always said the truth comes out eventually. I gripped the door handle. I'm just helping it along. We pulled up 2 houses down. Through the living room window, I could see Leonard's silhouette moving in his study. Call me if anything feels off. Sergio squeezed my hand. I mean it, Danny. I walked casually up the driveway, phone pressed to my ear like I was on a call. The front door opened silently, thank God for Mum's insistence on WD-40 on all the hinges. Leonard's voice drifted from the study. Yes, I understand the risks. No, she doesn't suspect anything. I crept closer, my heart pounding so loud I was sure he'd hear it. The transfer needs to happen today, he continued, before anyone starts asking questions. A floorboard creaked under my foot. Leonard's voice stopped. I'll call you back, he said quickly. I darted into the kitchen just as his study door opened, grabbed a glass, filled it with water. Danielle, Leonard appeared in the doorway. When did you get home? Just now, I took a sip. Thirsty. He studied me for a moment, then smiled that fake smile I'd grown to hate. Actually, good timing. I wanted to talk to you about the insurance situation. Oh? I leaned against the counter, trying to look casual. It's more complicated than we thought. Might take months to sort out. He straightened his tie. These things happen, unfortunately. Right, I nodded. These things happen. The moment he left for his afternoon appointment, I raced to the study. Eloise met me at the door. You have maybe 20 minutes, she whispered. He forgot some papers. He'll be back for them. My hands shook as I photographed everything I could find. Bank statements, transfer records, emails. A folder labelled Maureen Final Arrangements caught my eye. Inside was Mum's real insurance policy, the one that named me as sole beneficiary, the one Leonard had hidden. Danny! Eloise hissed from the doorway. Car just pulled up. I shoved everything back in place and slipped out, heart racing. Made it to my room just as the front door opened. Forgot my briefcase, Leonard called up the stairs. That evening, I met Sergio and Reagan at our favourite diner. The vinyl booth squeaked as I pulled out my phone. Look at these, I said, showing them the photos. He forged Mum's signature, changed the beneficiary to himself. That's fraud, Sergio said quietly. Serious fraud. We need to talk to someone who knows the law. Reagan pushed her fries around her plate. I might know someone. Who? Kyle. My cousin? He's a police officer now, Financial Crimes Unit. I hesitated. Can we trust him? He's solid, and he hates guys like Leonard. My phone lit up with a text from Eloise. Dad's planning something big. Overheard him booking a flight. He's running, I said, showing them the message. We need to move fast. I'll call Kyle tonight, Reagan squeezed my hand. We'll get him, Danny. Later, driving home, I passed Leonard's precious Mercedes in the driveway. The sight of it didn't hurt anymore. Instead, it filled me with determination. You picked the wrong family to mess with, I whispered, thinking of Mom's strength, her wisdom, her fierce protection of what was right. Tomorrow we'd meet with Kyle. Tomorrow we'd start bringing Leonard down. But tonight, I had evidence to organise and a promise to keep. The game was on, and Leonard had no idea what was coming. Kyle looked exactly like what you'd expect from a police officer, even in civilian clothes at a coffee shop. His eyes scanned everything, missing nothing. Insurance fraud is hard to prove, he said, reviewing the photos on my phone. But this is different. Multiple accounts, forged documents, clear paper trail. He's planning to leave the country, I said. Soon. Then we need to move carefully. Kyle leaned forward. One wrong step and he could disappear with everything. Reagan, who'd been quiet, suddenly grabbed my arm. Danny, look! Through the coffee shop window, I saw Leonard's Mercedes pull into the parking lot. Eloise was with him. Back room, Kyle said quickly. Now. We slipped through the door just as they entered. Through the crack, I watched Eloise's face. She looked terrified. I don't understand why we need to leave so suddenly, she was saying. What about my job? My friends? It's an opportunity, sweetheart. Leonard's voice oozed fake concern. A fresh start for both of us. And Danielle? She's an adult. She can take care of herself. My phone vibrated, a text from Sergio. Found the shell company's real office. You need to see this. I have to go, I whispered to Reagan and Kyle. Keep watching them. 20 minutes later, I met Sergio outside a rundown office building downtown. Third floor, he said. Suite 304. The elevator was broken, so we took the stairs. The hallway smelled like old cigarettes and broken dreams. Here, Sergio pointed to a door with peeling paint. Through the frosted glass I could make out Horizon Ventures. It's open, I said, trying the handle. Inside was a single room with a desk, a filing cabinet, and nothing else. No computer, no phone, no signs of life. Check the cabinet. Sergio kept watch at the door. The drawer squealed as I pulled it open. Inside, a single folder labelled Martinez Estate. Bingo, I whispered, pulling out my phone to photograph everything. Someone's coming, Sergio hissed. We ducked behind the desk, just as footsteps approached. The door opened. Everything needs to go, Leonard's voice. Shred it all. What about the offshore accounts? Another voice I didn't recognize. Transfer everything by tomorrow. I don't care how. My hand shook as I hit record on my phone, capturing every word. After they left, Sergio and I waited 5 minutes before moving. We need to get these to Kyle, I said, clutching the folder. Back at Reagan's place, Eloise was waiting for us. Her eyes were red. He's making me pack, she said. Says we're leaving tomorrow night. Dubai. Dubai? Reagan exchanged looks with Kyle. No extradition treaty. There's more. Eloise pulled out her phone. I recorded him talking to his lawyer. The recording played, Leonard discussing how to liquidate assets, transfer funds, make it all disappear. This is good, Kyle said, really good, but we need the original documents. They're in his safe, Eloise said, behind the painting in his study. I've seen him open it. I know the combination. My heart raced. When? He has a dinner meeting tonight, 7 to 9. That's our window, Kyle said, but we need to be careful. If he suspects anything, I'll keep him at dinner, Eloise stood up. Text me when you're done. After she left, Kyle turned to me. You understand the risks? If we're caught... Mom always said courage isn't about not being scared, I replied. It's about doing what's right anyway. The plan was simple. Sergio would watch the restaurant, Reagan would monitor the house perimeter, Kyle would wait in his car around the corner, and I would get the documents. At 7:15, Eloise texted, He's here, ordering drinks. I slipped into the house, my heart pounding. The study door opened silently. The painting swung away easily, revealing the safe. My fingers trembled as I input the combination Eloise had given me. 10, 24, 62. Click. Inside were stacks of documents, USB drives, and a manila envelope marked Contingency. My phone buzzed. Reagan. Car just pulled up. I froze. Leonard wasn't supposed to be back for hours. Get out now, Kyle texted. Back door. I grabbed everything, shoved it in my bag, and ran. Behind me, I heard the front door open. Hello? Leonard's voice. Anyone home? I slipped out the back door just as his footsteps reached the study. In Kyle's car, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Did you get everything? He asked. I opened my bag, showing him the contents. Everything. Good, he said, starting the engine. Because tomorrow, Leonard Hudson is going to learn exactly what justice feels like. The flight to Dubai leaves at 11 p.m. tomorrow, Kyle said, spreading the documents across his desk at the police station. We need to move before then. Dawn was breaking outside, and we'd been up all night reviewing what we'd found in Leonard's safe. The evidence was damning. Forged signatures, falsified bank statements, offshore account details. Look at this, Reagan pointed to a document. He started moving money the day after your mum went into hospice. My coffee cup cracked in my grip. He knew exactly what he was doing. There's something else, Sergio said quietly, holding up a USB drive we'd found. You need to see this. He plugged it into Kyle's computer. Video files appeared. Security footage from Mum's hospital room. Leonard, alone with her, papers spread across her bed. Turn up the volume, Kyle said. Just sign here, Maureen. Leonard's voice crackled through the speakers. It's for Danielle's future, I promise. My mother's hand, weak and shaking, signing documents she couldn't possibly read. That's elder abuse, Kyle said, his jaw tight, and fraud. We've got him. My phone buzzed. Eloise. Dad's acting weird, packing everything. Says we're leaving tonight instead. He knows. I said, showing them the message. He must have realized the safe was opened. We need to move now, Kyle stood up, before he runs. I'll call Judge Martinez, Reagan said. She owes me a favor. We can get the arrest warrant fast-tracked. No, I said, an idea forming. I have a better plan. 2 hours later, I walked into our house like nothing was wrong. Leonard was in the kitchen, talking rapidly on his phone. Yes, tonight. Change the tickets to tonight. I don't care about the cost. He hung up when he saw me. Danielle, I was just about to call you. Family emergency, Eloise and I need to travel. To Dubai? I interrupted, watching his face pale. Funny timing. How did you… Mom told me something before she died, I said, pulling out my phone. Want to hear it? I played the recording I'd found on the USB drive, one Leonard clearly didn't know existed. Mom's voice, weak but clear. If anything happens to me, watch Leonard. He's been asking about the insurance, about the accounts. Don't trust him, mi amor. Leonard's face turned from white to red. That's not… You can't. Can't what? Tell the truth? I stepped closer. Or did you think nobody would notice how you forced my dying mother to sign away her estate? His hand shot out, grabbing my arm. You don't understand. Let go of her. Sergio's voice came from the doorway. He'd been waiting outside, just as planned. Leonard released me, backing away. This is ridiculous. I'm calling my lawyer. Go ahead, I said, nodding toward the window where Kyle's unmarked police car had just pulled up. I'm sure they'd love to explain the elder abuse charges. You're bluffing, Leonard said, but his voice shook. Am I? I pulled out the documents from the safe. These say otherwise. So does the security footage. So do the offshore account records. His eyes darted to the door, calculating. Don't, Sergio warned, blocking the exit. What do you want? Leonard's voice was barely a whisper. Everything, I said. Every penny you stole, every account you opened, every lie you told. And you're going to give it all back. Or what? Or in about 30 seconds, Officer Kyle is going to walk through that door with a warrant. Your choice. Leonard's shoulders sagged. For the first time, I saw him for what he really was. A coward. The accounts, he said. I can transfer them back. Already done, Reagan's voice came from behind him. She'd slipped in through the back door. The bank's fraud department has been very helpful. Leonard sank into a chair, defeated. Outside, more police cars pulled up. One more thing, I said, pulling out Mom's letter, the real one, found in the safe. You're going to sign a confession. For her. Kyle entered, handcuffs ready. Leonard Hudson, you're under arrest for fraud, elder abuse. As they led him out, Eloise appeared at the top of the stairs, suitcase forgotten beside her. I'm sorry, she whispered. I should have said something sooner. I hugged her tight. You did the right thing when it mattered. Outside, they were putting Leonard in the police car. Our neighbours watched from their windows as his precious Mercedes was towed away. Evidence now. Your mum would be proud, Sergio said, taking my hand. I watched Leonard's car disappear around the corner, thinking of Mom's words. Trust your instincts, mi amor. She was right. She always was. It's not over, Kyle warned, joining us. There'll be trials, paperwork. I know, I said, but for the first time since Mom died, I can breathe again. The morning sun broke through the clouds, warming my face. Sometimes, justice feels exactly like this, like light breaking through darkness, like truth finally setting you free. The courthouse corridor felt colder than it should for a summer morning. Leonard's preliminary hearing was set to start in 20 minutes, and my stomach was doing backflips. Remember, Kyle said, adjusting his tie, stick to the facts. Don't let his lawyer rattle you. A door opened down the hall. Leonard emerged, flanked by his attorney. He looked smaller somehow, his designer suit hanging loose on his frame after 2 weeks in custody. Danielle, he called out, starting toward me. 2 bailiffs moved to block his path. Don't engage, Reagan whispered, squeezing my arm. But Leonard wasn't done. You're making a terrible mistake. I can explain everything. Save it for the judge. Kyle stepped between us. Your mother would be ashamed. Leonard spat. Something snapped inside me. I turned to face him. You don't get to talk about her, not anymore. Miss Martinez, a court clerk appeared. They're ready for you. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Leonard's lawyer, a sharp-faced woman in an expensive suit, watched me like a hawk as I took the stand. Please state your name for the record. Danielle Martinez. Ms. Martinez, Leonard's lawyer approached. Isn't it true that your stepfather handled all your mother's financial affairs while she was ill? Yes, but... And isn't it also true that your mother trusted him completely with these matters? She trusted him because he lied to her. Objection, the lawyer said. Speculation? Sustained, the judge replied. The questions continued, each one trying to twist the truth, to make Leonard look like a caring stepfather rather than the thief he was. And the night you broke into Mr. Hudson's safe, the lawyer smiled coldly. Did you have permission to do that? Before I could answer, the courtroom door burst open. A woman in a business suit rushed in, whispering urgently to the prosecutor. Your Honor? The prosecutor stood. We've just received new evidence that's critical to this case. Leonard's face went pale. The new evidence was a video, security footage from Mum's bank, showing Leonard using her ID to access her safety deposit box 3 days before she died. The contents of that box, Kyle testified later, included Mrs. Martinez's original will and trust documents. Documents that Mr. Hudson claimed were lost. During a recess, Eloise found me in the hallway. There's more, she said, her voice shaking. Dad's secretary just came forward. She has emails, lots of them, planning all of this months before your mum got sick. Why didn't she speak up sooner? He was blackmailing her too. Eloise handed me her phone. Read these. The emails were damning. Leonard had orchestrated everything, planning each step of his deception with cold precision. Back in the courtroom, Leonard's lawyer looked rattled. Your Honor, we request a brief continuance to review this new evidence. Denied, the judge said. Mr. Hudson, please approach the bench. Leonard stood, his legs shaking visibly. Given the overwhelming evidence of fraud, elder abuse, and attempted flight, I'm denying bail. This case will proceed to trial. As they led Leonard away, he turned to me one last time. I can still fix this, he pleaded. Just tell them you made a mistake. The only mistake, I said clearly, was trusting you with Mom's life. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited with cameras and microphones. Kyle helped us navigate through them to his car. What happens now? Eloise asked, once we were safely inside. Now, Kyle said, we build an airtight case. That secretary's testimony is going to be crucial. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You think you've won? There's more you don't know. Meet me at Riverside Park, 8 p.m. Come alone. I showed it to Kyle. Could be a trap, he said. Could also be someone else Leonard scammed. I'm going, I said, but I won't be alone. That evening, with Kyle and Sergio hidden nearby, I walked to the designated meeting spot. A woman emerged from the shadows, middle-aged, well-dressed, familiar somehow. I'm Patricia, she said, Leonard's first wife. My heart skipped. First wife? There were others between me and your mother. She pulled out a thick envelope. And we all have stories to tell. As she shared her story, pieces of a larger puzzle fell into place. Leonard hadn't just stolen from Mom. He'd done this before, multiple times. Why come forward now? I asked. Because you did what none of us could, she said. You stood up to him, and now we all will. Walking back to where Sergio waited, I felt lighter somehow. Mom always said the truth has a way of bringing people together. You okay? Sergio asked. I nodded, thinking of Patricia's words, of all the women Leonard had hurt. We're not done yet, I said. Not even close. The night air carried the scent of jasmine, Mom's favourite. Somewhere out there I knew she was watching, finally seeing justice unfold. 5 women, Kyle said, spreading photos across his desk. All married to Leonard between 1998 and 2019. All lost their savings. Patricia had brought more than just her story. She'd brought evidence. Years of bank statements, marriage certificates, divorce papers, and photographs. He always targeted wealthy widows, Patricia explained, pointing to each photo. Sarah in 98, me in 03, Maria in 08, Jessica in 13, Rebecca in 16, and then my mum, I finished quietly. Reagan, who'd been typing furiously on her laptop, looked up, found something. Each time he used different shell companies, but the pattern's identical. The trial's in 3 days, Kyle said. This changes everything. My phone buzzed. A text from Leonard's lawyer. My client wants to make a deal. No deals, I said, showing Kyle the message. He faces everything he's done. The door burst open. Eloise rushed in, face flushed. Dad's trying to contact his overseas accounts. I just overheard his lawyer on the phone. Kyle grabbed his keys. We need to freeze those accounts now. Already done, a voice said from the doorway. A woman in an FBI jacket entered. Agent Roberts, we've been tracking Mr. Hudson's activities for months. Months? I stood up. You knew about this? We knew something was happening but couldn't prove it. Your evidence broke the case wide open. Suddenly, all our phones buzzed simultaneously. Breaking news alert. Local businessman Leonard Hudson escapes custody during hospital transport. What hospital transport? Kyle demanded. He wasn't scheduled for any. It was a fake transfer order. Agent Roberts was already on her radio. All units suspect is... The Mercedes, I interrupted. He'll go for the Mercedes. It's in police impound, Kyle started. No, Eloise pulled up her phone. It was released this morning. Some paperwork mix-up. It's back at the house. He's running, Reagan said, just like he planned before. Not this time, I grabbed my keys. I know where he'll go first. 20 minutes later, we watched Leonard's Mercedes pull up to First National Bank. He'd changed clothes, but his movements were frantic. He's after the safety deposit box, Patricia said from the back seat. There's always a backup plan with Leonard. Kyle's voice crackled over our earpieces. All units hold position. Let him enter the building. We watched Leonard disappear inside. 5 minutes later, he emerged clutching a small bag. Now, Kyle's voice commanded. Police cars appeared from every direction. Leonard froze, then ran straight toward where Sergio had parked our car. Got you, Sergio muttered, stepping out to block his path. Leonard changed direction, heading for an alley, but Reagan was there, and beyond her, Patricia and the other wives formed a line. Enough running, Patricia called out. Face what you've done. Leonard spun around, trapped. His eyes met mine as I stepped forward. You're just like your mother, he snarled, never knowing when to let go. No, I said. I'm the one who learned when to hold on, to the truth. He lunged suddenly, but Kyle was faster. The takedown was quick, professional. The bag Leonard carried split open, spilling bearer bonds and cash across the pavement. Add attempted escape and theft to the charges, Agent Roberts said, snapping handcuffs on him. As they led him away, Eloise approached him. Why, Dad? All these women, all these lives. Because he could, Patricia answered for him. Until now. Later that night, we gathered at Mom's favourite restaurant. Patricia and the other wives shared stories, not of victimhood, but of survival. To Maureen, Patricia raised her glass, who raised a daughter strong enough to stop him. And to all of us, Sarah added, for finding each other. My phone lit up with a message from Kyle. Leonard's talking, full confession, it's over. But it wasn't over. It was just beginning. Looking around the table at these women, survivors, fighters, mothers, I saw something Mum always talked about, the strength of truth, the power of standing together. There's one more thing, Patricia said, pulling out an old photo. Your mother wasn't just another victim, Danielle. She was the one who first suspected Leonard's pattern. She'd been gathering evidence quietly for months before she got sick. The photo showed Mom at her desk surrounded by papers. On top was a file labelled Hudson Cases. She knew, I whispered. She knew, Patricia squeezed my hand, and she trusted you would finish what she started. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars. Somewhere in a cell, Leonard was finally facing the consequences of his actions. But here, in this moment, surrounded by the unbreakable bonds of shared experience and justice, I felt Mom's presence stronger than ever. The truth had won, just like she always said it would. The courtroom fell silent as Leonard was led in for sentencing. Gone was his designer suit, replaced by prison orange. Gone was his arrogant smile, replaced by defeat. "All rise," the bailiff called out. I stood between Eloise and Patricia with Sergio, Reagan and the other wives filling the row behind us. Kyle sat near the front, his testimony having sealed Leonard's fate days earlier. "Before I deliver the sentence," Judge Thompson said, "would any of the victims like to make a statement?" Patricia stepped forward first. Her voice shook but grew stronger with each word. "You took more than money from us, Leonard. You took our trust, our dignity, our faith in love itself." Sarah went next, then Maria, Jessica, and Rebecca. Each story added another layer to Leonard's crimes, another life he'd tried to destroy. Finally, it was my turn. "Your Honor," I began, looking directly at Leonard, "my mother taught me that true strength isn't about taking from others, it's about standing up for what's right." Leonard wouldn't meet my eyes. "She knew what you were," I continued. "Even while she was dying, she fought to protect others from you. This sentence isn't just for me or for her. It's for every woman you ever targeted." "Mr. Hudson," the judge leaned forward, "do you have anything to say?" Leonard stood slowly. I never meant to." "Save it," Eloise interrupted, standing up. "For once in your life, Dad, just tell the truth." The silence stretched for a long moment before Leonard's shoulders slumped. "I did it," he said quietly. "All of it. I'm sorry." "Leonard Hudson," Judge Thompson's voice filled the courtroom, "for multiple counts of fraud, elder abuse, theft, and attempted escape, I sentence you to 25 years in federal prison. Additionally, you are ordered to make full restitution to all victims." The gavel struck with finality. As they led Leonard away, Eloise rushed out of the courtroom. I found her in the hallway, tears streaming down her face. "He actually admitted it," she whispered. "After all this time. Sometimes the truth wins." I hugged her tight. "Ms. Martinez?" Agent Roberts approached. "There's something you need to see." She led us to a conference room where Kyle waited with a stack of files. "We found these in Leonard's storage unit," he said. "Your mother's original research. She'd been tracking his activities for years." The files contained detailed notes, bank records, even photographs. Mom had documented everything. "There's more," Agent Roberts said. "She left this for you." She handed me a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter dated just days before Mom died. "Mi amor, if you're reading this, then you've discovered the truth about Leonard. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you directly. He was watching too closely, but I knew you would figure it out. You have my strength, my determination, and most importantly, my heart for justice. The evidence is all here. Use it wisely. And remember, sometimes the biggest victories come from helping others heal. Te amo siempre, Mama." "Look at this." Reagan pointed to a document. "Your mom had set up a foundation to help victims of financial fraud. The paperwork was all ready." "We could still do it," Patricia said. "All of us together. Help other women spot the warning signs." "The Maureen Martinez Foundation," Eloise suggested, "for justice and healing." My phone buzzed. A message from the bank. Leonard's overseas accounts had been seized. The restitution payments would begin immediately. "It's really over," Sarah breathed. "No," I said, holding up Mom's letter. "It's just beginning." Outside the courthouse, reporters waited with cameras and microphones. "Ms. Martinez, how do you feel about the sentence? What message do you have for other fraud victims?" I looked at the women beside me, no longer victims but survivors, warriors, family. "Justice isn't just about punishment," I said into the microphones. "It's about healing, about turning pain into purpose." "And the foundation?" another reporter asked. "My mother believed in protecting others," I replied. "The Maureen Martinez Foundation will continue that work. Because the truth is, there are more Leonard Hudsons out there. But now, there are more of us standing ready to stop them." Later that evening, we gathered at Mom's favourite spot in Riverside Park. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, her favourite colours. To Maureen, Patricia raised a glass. Who started this fight? To us, Eloise added. Who finished it? And to the truth, I said softly, which always finds its way home. As twilight settled over the city, I felt Mom's presence stronger than ever. She'd known all along, not just about Leonard's crimes, but about the strength we'd find together. Sometimes justice looks like a prison sentence. Sometimes it looks like women standing together, turning their pain into purpose. And sometimes, just sometimes, it looks exactly like this. A sunset, a promise kept, and a mother's legacy living on through the truth she fought to protect. The key turned smoothly in the lock as I opened the doors to our new office. Sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the freshly painted walls and the sign that read the Maureen Martinez Foundation, protecting those who need it most. Perfect timing, Reagan called from behind me, carrying a box of supplies. The first support group starts in an hour. Patricia and Sarah were already setting up chairs in a circle while Eloise arranged coffee and pastries on a side table. The room felt alive with purpose. First client's here, Sergio poked his head in. Says her name's Amanda. A woman in her 50s entered hesitantly, clutching her purse. I saw the news coverage about Leonard, she said. My new husband. He's been asking about my savings. You're in the right place. Patricia stepped forward, guiding her to a chair. Tell us everything. As Amanda shared her story, more women arrived. Each one carried a similar weight. The suspicion that something wasn't right, the fear of being foolish, the shame of potential betrayal. I thought I was alone, Amanda wiped her eyes. That I was stupid for suspecting. You're not stupid, I said firmly. You're smart. You're here. That's the first step. My phone buzzed. A text from Kyle. Just interviewed Leonard. He gave up 2 more accomplices. We're closing in. Ladies, I addressed the group. I want to show you something. I pulled up our new database on the projector screen, a comprehensive system tracking fraud patterns, red flags, and reported scams. Knowledge is power, Sarah explained. We're building a network. When someone spots a pattern, everyone benefits. Like your mother did, Eloise added softly. A knock at the door interrupted us. Agent Roberts entered, carrying a familiar-looking box. Found this in another storage unit, she said. Thought you should have it. Inside were Mom's personal effects from her office, photos, notebooks, and a small wooden box I'd never seen before. The lid was engraved with words in Spanish. Para mi hija valiente, for my brave daughter. Inside was Mom's favourite necklace, a simple gold chain with a compass pendant, and a note, to help others find their way home. Excuse me, a new voice said. We turned to see a young woman in the doorway. I saw your foundation mentioned in the Leonard Hudson case. I'm a lawyer. I want to help. More people arrived throughout the morning, financial advisors offering services, tech experts volunteering to enhance our database, survivors wanting to share their stories and help others. Your mum would love this, Sergio said, watching the office fill with activity. She does love it. I touched the compass pendant. She's here in every person we help. Amanda approached me, determination replacing her earlier fear. I'm going to the bank today, she said, to secure my accounts. Would someone come with me? We all will, Patricia said. The other women nodded. That's what we do here, I explained. No one fights alone anymore. As we gathered our things to accompany Amanda, I noticed Eloise staring at Leonard's old Mercedes through the window. We'd reclaimed it in the settlement, and now it sat in our parking lot, transformed into a symbol of victory. What should we do with it? She asked. I smiled. Sell it. Use the money to help more people. Perfect, she hugged me. Dad's pride turning into something good. The office hummed with energy, phones ringing, women sharing stories, experts offering advice. On the wall, Mom's photo watched over it all, her smile knowing and proud. Ready? Reagan called out, holding the door as our group prepared to escort Amanda to the bank. I touched the compass pendant once more, feeling its steady weight against my chest. Mom had known all along that justice wasn't just about punishing the guilty. It was about protecting the vulnerable, about turning victims into warriors. "Ready," I said, joining the group of women who had become more than survivors, more than friends. We had become a force for change, a network of strength, a family forged in truth. Outside, the city stretched before us, full of people who might need our help, full of battles yet to be fought. But now we were ready, armed with knowledge, united in purpose, carrying forward a legacy of justice and hope. Mom always said that the truth finds its way home. Looking at these women, strong, determined, unafraid, I realized that sometimes home isn't a place at all. Sometimes it's a mission, a purpose, a promise kept. And sometimes it's simply the knowledge that no matter what darkness lies ahead, we'll face it together, guided by the compass of truth and the strength of those who came before us. That's not just justice, that's victory.
The invitation wasn't necessary. I knew exactly when and where Helena's baby shower would be held. Standing outside the country club's entrance, I smoothed down my black dress, purposefully chosen to stand out among the pastels I knew would fill the room. My name is Zuriel, and today I was crashing my sister's party. "Miss, are you at the Howard celebration?" The doorman's polite inquiry made me pause. "Yes," I replied, the lie sliding easily off my tongue. "I'm the sister." His eyes widened slightly. Clearly, he'd been briefed about the guest list. But before he could object, I strode past him with the confidence that had carried me through countless gallery openings in Paris. The sound of feminine laughter guided me to a private room decorated in soft pinks and blues. Through the glass doors, I spotted Helena, her pregnant belly draped in a flowing white dress, surrounded by our mother's country club friends. Mom stood beside her, beaming with the pride she'd never shown for me. I pushed open the door. The laughter died instantly. "Zuriel." Helena's voice cracked. "What are you doing here?" Mom's face hardened. "This is a private event. I brought a gift for my future niece or nephew." I held up the carefully wrapped package. "Surely you wouldn't turn that away." The room remained silent as I approached Helena. Up close, I could see the uncertainty in her eyes. The same look she'd given me 3 years ago when I announced I was moving to Paris to pursue my art career. "Thank you," Helena whispered, accepting the package. Her fingers trembled as she unwrapped it, revealing a small original painting I'd created. A whimsical Paris scene perfect for a nursery. "It's beautiful," she admitted, and for a moment I saw my little sister again, not the perfect daughter who'd replaced me in our parents' eyes. "How's Russell?" I asked, noting his absence. "Still busy with all those international business trips?" Helena's smile faltered. "He's in Singapore this week. Very important meetings." "Of course." I smiled, thinking of the file hidden in my apartment. The one I'd stumbled upon during my latest exhibition in Paris, containing proof that my brother-in-law's business trips weren't exactly legitimate. Mom stepped between us. "Zuriel, this isn't the time or place. Helena needs to rest, not deal with unexpected situations." "Unexpected situations?" I laughed. "Is that what I am now? Not your daughter, just an unexpected situation?" "Please," Helena pleaded. "Don't make a scene." "Make a scene? Like when you all made a scene walking out of my first gallery showing? Or when Russell convinced Dad not to invest in my art studio because it wasn't a sound business decision?" The other guests shifted uncomfortably. Good. Let them see the cracks in this perfect family facade. "That's enough." Mom grabbed my arm, her manicured nails digging into my skin. "You need to leave, now." I yanked free. "Don't worry, I'm going. But Helena?" I turned to my sister. "You might want to ask Russell about his recent trip to Paris, specifically about what he was doing at the Galerie Saint-Germain last month." Helena's face paled. Mom practically shoved me toward the door, but I'd said what I came to say. The seed was planted. In the parking lot, my phone buzzed. A text from Giselle. Did you do it? Phase 1 complete. I typed back. They have no idea what's coming. My hands shook as I started my car. The hurt in Helena's eyes haunted me, but I pushed it aside. They'd hurt me worse, year after year, rejection after rejection. Now it was time for truth to shatter their perfect little world. Another text came through, this time from Ty. Got more info on Russell's operations. You need to see this. I smiled, thinking of the evidence mounting in my apartment. Soon, very soon, they'd all know exactly who Russell Howard really was. And maybe, just maybe, they'd finally see who I really am too. As I drove away from the country club, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the rearview mirror. I looked exactly like what they thought I was. The black sheep, the troublemaker, the unwanted daughter. But by the time this was over, they'd learn that appearances can be deceiving. Just ask Russell Howard about that. Holy shit, Giselle whispered, spreading the documents across my coffee table. How did you even get these? I took a sip of wine, remembering the moment in Paris when everything changed. Right place, right time. The gallery owner was arguing with Russell in his office. When they stormed out, he left his laptop open. And you just helped yourself to his files? The folder was literally named Shipping Manifests. Who labels their illegal documents that clearly? Giselle picked up a spreadsheet, her eyes widening. These numbers, they're not just shipping art, are they? No. I pulled out my phone, showing her the photos I'd taken. See these paintings? They're forgeries. Really good ones. Russell's been using art galleries as fronts for money laundering. The shipping costs are just cover for moving dirty money across borders. Does Helena have any idea? The question hit me hard. No. She thinks he's this amazing businessman building their perfect life. I grabbed another document. Look at this. He's been siphoning money from Dad's investment too. The studio deal he talked Dad out of? He redirected those funds into his own operation. My phone buzzed. A text from Ty. Meeting set with the gallery owner tomorrow. He's ready to talk. You're really going through with this? Giselle asked, concern etched on her face. Watch this, I said, pulling up Instagram. Helena's latest post showed her cradling her belly, Russell's arm around her shoulders. The caption read, "Counting down the days with my amazing husband." Blessed, yes, perfect life. That's what they all believe in. The perfect life, the perfect marriage, the perfect daughter who made all the right choices. I stood up, pacing. While I'm the failure who chose art over stability, the embarrassment they had to explain away at dinner parties. Zuriel, Giselle started. No, listen. Yesterday at the shower, Mom couldn't even look at me, but she'll look at me now. They all will. My phone rang. Helena's name flashing on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. What's your actual plan here? Giselle asked, gathering the documents. You can't just dump all this on them at once. They'll never believe it. Already handled. I pulled out 3 envelopes. This one goes to Dad, proof that Russell stole his investment money. This one's for Mom, evidence of Russell's affairs in Paris. And this, I held up the last envelope. Goes to Helena, photos of Russell with his other family in Singapore. Other family? Giselle gasped. Wife and kid, Helena's not his first perfect life. The voicemail notification pinged. Helena's voice filled the room. Zuri, about what you said at the shower, about Russell in Paris, please call me back. Please. She's scared, Giselle observed. She should be. I sealed the envelopes. The truth is terrifying. Another text from Ty. Gallery owner says Russell threatened him, wants to come clean. What if this destroys them? Giselle asked quietly. Not just Russell, but your whole family? I walked to my window, looking out at the city lights. They destroyed me first. Year after year, event after event, choosing him over me. making me feel worthless because I didn't fit their mold. And this will fix that? No. I turned back to her. But it will force them to see the truth. About Russell, about themselves, about me. My phone buzzed again, a text from Mom. Your sister is upset. Whatever you're doing, stop it. Haven't you caused enough problems? I showed Giselle the message. See? Still blaming me. Still protecting their precious Russell. When are you sending the envelopes? Tomorrow morning. First-class mail, so they'll arrive the next day. I gathered them up, just in time for their Sunday family dinner. The dinner you're never invited to? Exactly. I smiled grimly. But this week I'll be there. They'll need answers only I can give them. Giselle stood, hugging me tight. Just be careful, okay? Revenge has a way of hurting everyone, including the person seeking it. After she left, I sat alone with the envelopes, running my fingers over the sealed edges. 3 years of pain, of rejection, of watching Russell systematically take my place in my own family, all coming down to these 3 envelopes. My phone lit up with one final text from Helena. Whatever you know, please. I'm pregnant. Don't do anything to hurt my baby. I picked up the envelopes, my hand trembling slightly. I'm not the one who hurt your baby. I whispered to the empty room. Your perfect husband did that all on his own. Tomorrow, the truth would begin to unravel their perfect world, and I would be there to watch it burn. The cafe across from my parents' house gave me a perfect view of the morning's chaos. I watched the mail carrier deliver the envelopes, then waited. Giselle sat beside me, nervously stirring her untouched coffee. How long do you think? She started, but my phone's buzz cut her off. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. Shouldn't you answer? Giselle asked. Not yet. Wait for it. Dad called next. Then Helena. Their house erupted with activity. Mom pacing by the window, Dad's car screeching out of the driveway. Where's he going? Giselle asked. To his investment advisor, probably. Checking if what I sent him is real. My phone buzzed again. A text from Ty. Russell just called the gallery owner, threatening him. Want me to send the recording? Yes. I typed back. More ammunition. A black SUV pulled up to my parents' house. Russell jumped out, moving with the panicked energy of a man whose world was crumbling. He'd clearly cut his business trip short. Here we go, I murmured. Through the cafe window, I watched Russell burst into the house. Even from across the street, I could hear the shouting. Helena appeared in the doorway, one hand on her belly, the other holding the photos I'd sent. God, she looks devastated, Giselle whispered. She needs to know the truth. My phone rang again. Helena. This time, I answered. How could you? She sobbed. How could you do this to me? How could I? How could he? Did you look at the date stamps on those photos, Helena? His other kid is 3 years old. He was married before he ever met you. You're lying. Russell says they're fake. Check his phone. I cut in. Right now. Check his deleted messages. Silence. Then muffled voices as she presumably confronted him. Zuri. Her voice broke. What do I do? Come to the cafe across the street. Alone. She's actually coming, Giselle said, watching Helena waddle across the street, tears streaming down her face. I stood as she entered, her pregnant belly leading the way. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Sit, I said, pulling out a chair. There's more you need to see. I can't, she started. You can, and you will. I pulled out my tablet, showing her the shipping manifests, the bank transfers, the evidence of Russell's real business. This is who you married, Helena. This is who they chose over me. She scrolled through the documents, her hands shaking. Dad's investment money. All gone, along with the money from 3 other families. Russell's been running this scheme for years. Through the window, we watched Russell storm out of the house, shouting into his phone. Mom followed him, pleading. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Helena asked. Would you have believed me? Over perfect Russell? She flinched. We really did that to you, didn't we? Pushed you away. Chose him. My phone buzzed with Ty's message, the recording of Russell threatening the gallery owner. I played it for Helena. Jesus, she whispered. I don't even recognize his voice. He sounds like a criminal, because that's what he is. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Did you? Helena looked at me, panic rising. No, but Russell's partners might be cutting their losses. The gallery owner wasn't the only one I contacted. The sirens grew louder. 2 police cars pulled up to our parents' house. Russell saw them and ran, straight toward the cafe. Helena, he shouted, bursting through the door. Don't listen to her. I can explain everything. Explain this, I said, turning my tablet to show a video of him making deals in Paris. Or this? Another swipe revealed photos of money exchanges. You bitch, he snarled, lunging toward me. Giselle stuck out her foot. Russell sprawled face first onto the cafe floor as police officers rushed in. Russell Howard? One officer asked. We have some questions about your art import business. As they led him away in handcuffs, Helena gripped my hand. The baby. We'll have one hell of a story to tell someday, I said. But at least they'll know the truth. Mom appeared in the cafe doorway, mascara streaking her cheeks. What have you done, Zuriel? No, Mom. Helena spoke up, her voice stronger. What have we done? To Zuri? To our family? To ourselves? I watched Mom's face crumple as the truth finally hit her. Outside, Dad's car returned, just in time to see his son-in-law being driven away in a police car. Well, Giselle muttered, guess you're not uninvited from family dinners anymore. But looking at my shattered family, I wondered if there would be any more family dinners to attend. 3 days after Russell's arrest, I sat across from my parents at their dining room table. The same table where they'd once told me I was throwing my life away by pursuing art. Now they were the ones looking lost. The bank called again, Dad said, his voice hollow. Almost everything's gone. Mom's hand trembled as she poured more wine. How did we not see it? Because you didn't want to see it, I replied. Russell showed you what you wanted. Success, stability, status. Everything you thought I couldn't give you. That's not fair, Mom snapped, but Dad raised his hand. No, Vera, let her speak. We owe her that much. I pulled out my phone, showing them more documents. Russell didn't just steal your money, Dad. He used your reputation to lure in other investors. Your friends at the country club? Check their accounts. Dad's face went ashen. The Thompsons' retirement fund? Gone, along with the Williams' college savings for their kids. Stop it, Mom pleaded. Just stop. Why? Because it hurts? Because it ruins your perfect image of him? Because your sister is upstairs crying herself sick, Mom shot back. Because everything we believed in is falling apart. Now you know how I felt. I stood up, pacing. Every time you chose him over me. Every time you praised his real job while dismissing my art. Every time you made me feel worthless because I didn't fit your plan. The stairs creaked. Helena appeared, looking exhausted. I heard shouting. You should be resting, Mom started, but Helena waved her off. I've done enough resting. She sat down heavily. I want to know everything, Zuri. No more secrets. I pulled out my tablet, but Dad stopped me. First, I need to know something. How did you find all this out? Remember that gallery showing in Paris? The one none of you attended? The flinches around the table were satisfying. Russell was there, making one of his deals. He got sloppy, left evidence. Once I started digging. Why didn't you go to the police first? Mom demanded. Would you have believed them over Russell? Or would you have blamed me for trying to ruin Helena's perfect life? The silence was answer enough. My phone buzzed. Ty again. More victims coming forward. Russell's operation bigger than we thought. You might want to warn your family. There's more, isn't there? Helena asked, reading my expression. Russell's other wife came forward. In Singapore. She's working with the authorities. Mom's wine glass slipped, shattering on the floor. No one moved to clean it up. I trusted him, Dad whispered. With my money, my reputation, my daughter. We all did, Helena said. Because he was everything you wanted in a son-in-law. Unlike what? I pressed. Unlike the life you chose, she finished. The life we rejected. Mom started crying. Not her usual controlled tears, but deep, ugly sobs. I was so afraid, she choked out. After your father's brother lost everything pursuing his dreams, I couldn't bear to see you struggle like that. So you pushed me away instead? We pushed you toward safety, Dad said. Or what we thought was safety. Look how well that turned out. Helena reached for my hand across the table. Show me the rest, Zuri. Show us everything. For the next hour, I laid it all out. The forged artwork, the money laundering, the multiple families, the threatened gallery owners. With each revelation, my family's perfect world crumbled further. The police want to talk to all of you, I said finally. About the investments, the companies Russell set up in your names. Our names? Dad looked up sharply. He used your identities to create shell corporations. That's why I had to do this my way. If I'd gone to the police first, you might have been implicated. You were protecting us, Helena realized. Even after everything. You're my family. The words caught in my throat. Even when you didn't want me, you were still my family. Mom stood up suddenly, her chair scraping back. For a moment, I thought she was going to walk away again. Instead, she wrapped her arms around me, holding me like she hadn't since I was small. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. One by one, they joined the embrace. Dad, then Helena, her belly pressing against my back. We stood there, a broken family trying to find its way back together. My phone buzzed again in my pocket, but I ignored it. The truth could wait a moment longer. Right now, in this shattered dining room with its broken wine glass and broken dreams, something else was finally breaking too. The walls we'd built between us. The police station's fluorescent lights made everyone look sickly. Helena sat beside me, hands protectively over her belly, while Mom and Dad spoke with detectives in separate rooms. Mrs. Howard? A detective approached Helena. We need your statement now. I'll come with you, I offered, but Helena shook her head. I need to do this alone, Zuri. I need to face it. As she waddled away, Giselle arrived with coffee. How's it going? They've been questioning Dad for 2 hours. Mom's barely holding it together. My phone lit up with a message from Russell's lawyer. My client requests a meeting with you. Alone. No way in hell, Giselle said, reading over my shoulder. Actually, I stood up. This might be exactly what we need. Zuri, don't... But I was already walking to the detective's desk. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Russell in an interview room, a recording device between us. You look terrible, I observed. The designer suits were gone, replaced by orange prison wear. You've ruined everything, he snarled. My business, my reputation. Your multiple families? I cut in. How's the son in Singapore, by the way? His fist slammed the table. You think you're so clever, but you've destroyed your sister's life. That baby will grow up without a father. Better than growing up with a criminal for a father. I can still fix this. He leaned forward. I have offshore accounts. Money your father will never see again unless you help me. I smiled, tapping the recorder. There it is, the threat I was waiting for. His face darkened. You recorded... The door burst open. 2 detectives entered, followed by my father. That's enough, Dad said. We got what we needed. Russell lunged across the table, but the detectives were faster. As they dragged him away, he shouted, Your precious artist daughter isn't so innocent. Ask her how she really got those files. Dad turned to me. Is there something I should know? I might have borrowed some files from his laptop. In Paris. Illegally? Let's say I made an unauthorized backup of data he left unsecured in a public space. Dad's laugh surprised me. The first real laugh I'd heard from him in years. You always were too smart for your own good. Back in the waiting area, Helena was finishing her statement. Mom sat nearby, looking through her phone. "What are you doing?" I asked her. "Looking at your art website. I never actually looked at it before." She turned the screen toward me. "These prices, Zuri. People pay this much for your work?" "More, usually. That's just the gallery price." "More than Russell made in his legitimate deals," Dad muttered. Helena joined us, exhausted but somehow lighter. "They're charging him with fraud, money laundering, and identity theft, among other things. The Singapore authorities want to extradite him too," I added. "Good," Helena said firmly. "Let them have him." Mom stood suddenly. "I need to show you all something." She led us to her car, drove to their house, and went straight to the study. From a hidden safe, she pulled out a folder. "Your first gallery submission," she said, handing it to me. "The one we rejected." I kept it. Inside were photos of my early work, along with glowing reviews from art critics. "You kept this?" My hands shook. "But you said my art was worthless." "Because I was scared," Mom whispered. "Scared you'd struggle, scared you'd fail. Instead, you succeeded brilliantly, and we failed you." Helena picked up one of the photos. "I remember this piece. You painted it the summer before college. Before you all decided my future wasn't worth investing in," I said. "We were wrong," Dad said simply. "About everything." My phone buzzed. Ty again. "Gallery owner wants to feature your new series. Theme, Family Secrets. You in?" I looked at my family, Mom clutching my old portfolio, Dad looking at my current prices with newfound respect, Helena studying my early work with genuine interest. "I have a proposition," I said. "The gallery wants to feature my new work, but I'm thinking maybe we could use it to help make things right." "What do you mean?" Dad asked. "We sell the pieces, use the money to help repay the families Russell stole from." "You'd do that?" Mom's eyes welled up. "That's what family does, right? Helps fix each other's mistakes?" Helena hugged me, her belly pressing between us. "Speaking of family, I've been thinking about names for the baby." "Please tell me you're not sticking with Russell Jr." I groaned. She laughed. Actually laughed. "I was thinking, how do you feel about being a namesake?" Mom gasped. Dad grinned. And I finally felt like I was home. "Just promise me one thing," I said. "If the kid wants to be an artist, we'll be their biggest supporters," they all said together. And for once, I believed them. "Are you sure about this?" Giselle asked, helping me hang the last painting, a dark, swirling piece titled Family Lies. The gallery buzzed with pre-opening activity. In 2 hours, it would be filled with art critics, potential buyers, and most nervously, the families Russell had defrauded. "They deserve to see it," I said, adjusting the lighting. "All of it." My phone buzzed. "Helena. Water broke. At hospital. Don't worry about coming. Focus on gallery." "Yeah, right," I snorted, already grabbing my coat. "Giselle, you're in charge. Don't let anyone touch anything until I'm back." The hospital was chaos. Mom pacing the waiting room, Dad stress-eating vending machine snacks, Helena's screams echoing down the hall. "Perfect timing," the nurse said as I rushed in. "She's been asking for you." Helena gripped my hand so hard I thought it would break. "I can't do this," she gasped. "Yes, you can. You're stronger than you think. You survived Russell. You can survive this. The gallery opening can wait. Some things are more important." Hours passed. Mom and Dad took turns pacing. I didn't leave Helena's side, not even when she threatened to murder me for suggesting she breathed through the pain. "Push," the doctor ordered. "One more big push," Helena screamed. I thought my hand would shatter. And then, a new cry filled the room. "It's a girl," the doctor announced. Zuriel, Helena whispered, exhausted but smiling. Her name is Zuriel. Mom burst into tears. Dad hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. And little Zuriel, red-faced and angry at the world, screamed her arrival. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Giselle. Gallery packed. Everyone's waiting. The Thompson family is here. Go, Helena insisted. Go make things right. I kissed her forehead, then my namesake's, and rushed back to the gallery. The space was packed, every painting surrounded by viewers. The Thompson family stood before The Price of Trust, a piece showing hands reaching for money that turned to ash. Mr. Thompson's shoulders shook. Mr. Thompson? I approached carefully. I'm Zuriel. The artist? He turned, eyes red. These paintings, they tell our story. They tell all our stories, Mrs. Thompson added. Everyone rustle hurt. I led them to a private room where Ty waited with documents. The painting's already sold, I told them, along with 3 others. The money, it's not everything Russell took, but you're trying to make it right, Mr. Thompson said, even though it wasn't your debt to pay. Family debts are shared debts, I replied, even when the family member turns out to be a criminal. The Williams family was next, then the Patels. One by one, I showed them the paintings inspired by their stories and the checks that would help rebuild their lives. Your father raised a good daughter, Mr. Williams said. The right daughter. My phone buzzed with a photo. Tiny Zuriel, swaddled in hospital blankets. I showed it to the families. Russell's daughter? Mrs. Patel asked. No, I smiled. My niece, born tonight, named after me. A new beginning. The gallery doors burst open. 2 police officers entered, followed by Russell's lawyer. Miss, the lawyer approached. My client has information about additional accounts. He's willing to reveal their locations in exchange for no deals. I cut him off. The paintings tell the truth. Let him sit with that. After the lawyer left, Giselle rushed over. Every painting sold, over asking price. The critics are calling it a raw exploration of family betrayal and redemption. My phone buzzed again. Dad. Helena's asking for you, and your mom won't stop crying about the baby's name. Go, Giselle insisted. I'll handle the rest here. Back at the hospital, I found my family crowded into Helena's room. Mom cradling baby Zuriel, Dad taking photos, Helena beaming despite her exhaustion. How much? Helena asked. Enough to repay almost everyone, I said. The paintings, they understood. They all understood. Of course they did, Mom said, rocking the baby. You showed them the truth, like you showed us. Through art, Dad added. The career we thought wouldn't amount to anything. Baby Zuriel started fussing. Mom handed her to me, and as I held my niece for the first time, Helena spoke. She'll grow up knowing the truth, she said. About everything. About art, about family, about forgiveness. About her crazy aunt who brought down an international criminal through paintings? I teased. About her aunt who saved us all. Helena corrected. The baby gripped my finger, strong and sure, like she already knew her place in this complicated family story. My phone buzzed one last time. A news alert. Russell pleads guilty to all charges. Good, Helena said firmly. Now we can focus on what matters. Looking at my family, whole and healing, I couldn't agree more. 6 months after Russell's guilty plea, I stood in my parents' backyard, watching Mom chase little Zuriel around with a tiny paintbrush. The baby's giggles filled the air as colorful splotches decorated her smock. She's a natural, Helena said, joining me on the patio, already following in her aunt's footsteps. My phone buzzed, another message from Russell's lawyer. I deleted it without reading. Still trying to make deals? Helena asked. Every week. But his other wife in Singapore isn't being as forgiving as his lawyers hoped. Dad emerged from his study, waving papers. Just got off the phone with the bankruptcy trustee. They found another account. How much? Helena asked. Enough to fully repay the Williams family. He grinned. Their daughter can go to college after all. The doorbell rang. Mom scooped up baby Zuriel, paint and all, as Giselle and Ty arrived with boxes. The last of the gallery sales, Ty announced. Plus 3 commissions from people who saw the Family Secrets series. Speaking of secrets, Giselle added, guess who's getting married next month? The gallery owner? I laughed. To Russell's ex from Singapore? Poetic justice, Helena mused. She gets the honest man, while Russell gets 20 years in prison. Mom set baby Zuriel in her playpen and started opening boxes. These new paintings, Zuri, they're different. She was right. Gone were the dark themes of betrayal. The new pieces exploded with color and hope, a series I called Redemption. The critics are calling it your best work yet, Ty said. They say they can feel the healing in every brushstroke. Because there is healing, I replied, watching Mom make faces at the baby. In all of us. The back gate opened. 2 women entered, Mrs. Thompson and Mrs. Williams, carrying casseroles. Hope we're not interrupting, Mrs. Thompson said. We brought dinner. And wine, Mrs. Williams added. Lots of wine. What started as a support group for Russell's victims had evolved into genuine friendship. Every week they gathered here, sharing meals, sharing stories, sharing recovery. Did you tell them? Mrs. Thompson asked Dad. Just did. About the new account. Mrs. Williams burst into tears. My daughter. She can keep her scholarship. Helena hugged her. Your daughter is going to do amazing things, just like someone else I know who followed her dreams despite everything. She looked pointedly at me and I felt my cheeks flush. Speaking of dreams, Mom called from the playpen. Look what your niece made. Baby Zuriel had managed to create a surprisingly coherent pattern with her finger paints. Everyone crowded around, oohing and eyeing. Another artist in the family. Dad said proudly, this one will support from the start. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Russell's other wife. The divorce is final. Thank you for everything. Your family is lucky to have you. You know what's funny? Helena said, reading over my shoulder. If Russell hadn't been so terrible, we might never have found our way back to each other. Sometimes the worst things lead to the best endings, Mrs. Thompson observed. Giselle started setting up dinner on the patio table. The evening sun cast long shadows across the yard as everyone took their places. Not just family, but this extended circle of healing we'd created. Before we eat, Dad stood up, raising his glass. To second chances. To truth. To art. To family, Mom added. All kinds of family. Baby Zuriel chose that moment to fling a glob of paint, hitting Dad square in the face. The table erupted in laughter. That's definitely your niece. Helena nudged me. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone to show them an email. About that, the Paris Gallery wants to feature a mother-daughter artist series. They suggested we start Baby Zuriel early. Mom dropped her fork. Paris? But that means we'd all have to go, I finished. Together this time. As a family, Dad added. Helena wiped paint off the baby's hands. What do you say, little one? Ready to show Paris what the next generation of artists can do? Baby Zuriel responded by painting a perfect handprint on Helena's shirt. I'd say that's a yes. Mrs. Williams laughed. As dinner continued, I watched my family. Mom teaching baby Zuriel to hold a proper brush, Dad discussing art investments with Ty, Helena sharing recovery stories with Russell's other victims turned friends. My phone buzzed one last time, a notification that Russell's final appeal had been denied. I deleted it without sharing. Some chapters needed to stay closed. More wine? Giselle offered. Please, I said, raising my glass to the sunset. Here's to painting new stories. Everyone clinked glasses, and baby Zuriel squealed in delight, as if she too knew. The best masterpieces come from the heart. The Parisian gallery buzzed with excitement as baby Zuriel smacked her hands against a canvas, creating explosive bursts of color. Helena stood nearby, beaming as photographers captured the moment. "She's a natural," the gallery owner said in accented English, just like her aunt. My latest collection hung on the walls, Legacy of Truth, each piece telling our family's journey from betrayal to redemption. But the centerpiece was different, a collaborative work between me, Helena, Mom, and baby Zuriel. "The critics are calling it revolutionary," Ty said, showing me the early reviews on his tablet. "A family healing through art." Mom appeared with more paint for the baby. Gone was her country club perfectionism, replaced by an artist's smock splattered with colors. "Your father's still on the phone with the lawyers?" she said. "The last of Russell's accounts have been found. Everyone will be made whole." Speaking of whole, Giselle nudged me, pointing to the gallery entrance. Russell's other wife stood there, holding her son's hand. She'd flown in from Singapore for the showing, part of her own healing journey. "Come." I waved them over. "Baby Zuriel needs more painting partners." The two children, half-siblings unknown to each other just months ago, instantly began creating together, their laughter transcending language barriers. "This is better than revenge," Russell's ex-wife said softly. "This is justice." Dad finally joined us, tucking his phone away. "It's done," he announced. "The last settlement has been paid. Russell's empire is officially dismantled. And rebuilt into something beautiful," Helena added, watching the children paint. The gallery doors opened again. Mrs. Thompson, Mrs. Williams, and other families Russell had hurt filed in, having flown to Paris for the showing. They carried gifts, not just for baby Zuriel, but for her brother too. "We're all connected now," Mrs. Williams said. "Through pain, through healing, through art." My phone buzzed, a prison notification. Russell had been transferred to Singapore to face charges there. I deleted it without comment. His chapter in our story was over. "Ladies and gentlemen," the gallery owner called out, "the collaborative piece is complete." Everyone gathered around the massive canvas. Baby Zuriel's chaotic joy, Helena's tentative hope, Mom's emerging creativity, and my guiding artistry, all merged into something unprecedented. "What's it called?" someone asked. I looked at my family, all of them, blood and chosen alike, and smiled. "Second chances. Perfect," Helena whispered, hugging me. "Just like that day you crashed my baby shower." I was so angry then, I admitted, so focused on revenge. "And now?" Mom asked. Paint streaked across her cheek. "Now I understand. Sometimes you have to break something to rebuild it stronger." Baby Zuriel chose that moment to toddle over, covered head to toe in paint. Her brother followed, equally messy. They raised their tiny hands toward the canvas. "One last touch?" Helena suggested. Together, the children pressed their handprints onto the corner of the piece, a signature of the next generation. "You know," Dad said, "I always worried about leaving a legacy. Turns out it wasn't about money or status at all." "It's about truth," Russell's ex-wife added. "And family," Mrs. Thompson said. "And art," Mom finished, surprising us all. The gallery erupted in applause as the piece was officially unveiled. Critics rushed forward, cameras flashed, but I stepped back, watching my family interact with natural ease. Helena teaching her daughter to mix colors, Mom discussing technique with aspiring artists, Dad proudly explaining the investment potential of art to anyone who'd listen, the two children creating without care for the past's complications. "You did it," Giselle said, joining me. "You got everything you wanted." "No," I corrected her. "I got something better. I got what we all needed." My phone buzzed one final time, a message from the Singapore authorities. Russell had confessed to everything, finally taking responsibility. "Should we tell them?" Ty asked, seeing the message. I watched baby Zuriel laugh as she created another masterpiece, her brother adding his own flourishes, their mothers chatting like old friends. "No," I decided. "Let's focus on this masterpiece instead." The Paris sunset streamed through the gallery windows, catching the fresh paint on the collaborative piece. In the golden light, all our broken pieces, family, trust, love, art, had transformed into something whole. More paint, baby Zuriel demanded, her first complete sentence. Everyone laughed, and I grabbed a fresh palette. Some stories end with revenge, others with justice. But ours? Ours ended with creation, with family, with truth. And really, that was the most beautiful masterpiece of all.